Whoa.
I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
Are we allowed to say that if it isn't Thursday at 3?
Actually, let me review the contract that we got. I'll
It
let you
just
know.
feels a little awkward saying
I'm going to
our
hand it
name.
over to General Counsel.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we are the CRM Playaz. And don't be surprised. It's not 3 o'clock, but it's close enough. And we want to do something different. So we're here.
That's right. We are radical, man. An hour early. That's
Was there like
heavy
a,
duty stuff.
did we miss the fall back or spring forward or how do they
Not
do
yet.
that thing?
That's
No. All
coming.
right.
March 8th.
Okay. Oh, look. Somebody other than Sven.
Oh, Bob.
I'm guessing it's Bob.
Yeah. Or
But
it's
they're
not Esteban. He's actually got his fixed, I think. Hey,
Thomas.
Thomas.
What is he greeting us from Australia?
Yeah, Australian. He's speaking Australian.
Well, thank you for joining us a little earlier than usual because I guess we think we're going to do something fun, something special, something that has never, ever been done before.
What's that?
I don't know. Sounds good. I don't know. Here we go.
What the hell is that? We
I
have a
don't
new
know.
atomic.
We're going to have more than one LinkedIn user. We don't even going to know who that
Which is
person is.
Oh my God! Unless it's the same person trying to screw with us.
Well, could be. Wouldn't put it past Bob Fagel. Anyway, Marshall, howdy. Nice to see James here.
James, man, how you doing, man?
I like his profile picture. It's really professional looking. Doesn't look anything like mine. Just saying, looks good. I need to get
yours
that.
looks like a Rams hat.
Wow, back-to-back days of Christine Randall.
Christine, I love that picture, man. She's so happy in that.
And Eric looks pretty happy.
Yes, he does. It's Sarita.
Oh, Sarita.
Okay, Sarita, how come you can't log in?
I don't know, but
from
Sarita,
Sugar CRM, folks.
Look at my hat, Sarita. The Rams, Super Bowl champs, representing NFC West for your Sea Hags. I shouldn't say Sea Hags, but I did, so I can't really take it back.
Yeah,
anyway,
you can't take it back. It's been recorded.
Yes, Alan. Why does Alan have that perplexed look on his face in his profile
he's wondering
picture?
He really doesn't know whether we're early or not. Clearly. Hi,
wow,
Iriome.
look at Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, you're looking spiffy. Although you wrote hi, Iriome.
Maybe that's a different language that we just
that's
don't know
right.
about. There he is. Dan Barry.
Dan, always the optimist, man. I love him for that. He's always the happy one. There we go.
He was so excited that he misspelled whatever word that was before.
Iriome was Finnish for something.
All right. Well,
hey, Zach. Wow, they're pouring in here.
They're pouring in, everybody. We're glad to see you. So I guess we better get started because
Ram, before you start, go to Jennifer Douglas's comments. There's one you want to put up.
Of hers? Oh, yes. Wait a minute. There's two of hers.
There's two. It's the second one.
The one that says Brent?
No, right below that.
I'm missing.
There's hi guys, and then
now I see it. They're coming in kind of fast and furious.
Right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
There you go.
Thank you. Yes.
I thought you might want to see that one before we started.
It's good to see everybody. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing here? How is that working? Did you notice
what?
When I put Jen's comment up, our names went away? I had never noticed that before. Is that something new?
I guess it's not that cool, but it's new.
No, it's really not. But
it's all right.
Thank you, everybody. All right. We're going to kind of keep things moving along. We're doing a supersized edition of the CRM Playaz because for the first time, Paul Greenberg The venerable Paul Greenberg.
A member of the, well, I've changed that. I'm a member of the Venerables, which is a
Okay.
well-known rock group of the 60s.
Really?
No,
I didn't think so.
I made that up completely,
Kind of
but
thought
it
so.
sounds good.
Sounded good. Something else that sounds good is we are doing the reveal, the big reveal of Paul Greenberg's 2022 CRM watch list. I don't know what a watch list would be, but I know what a CRM watch list is.
A watch list. Well, I can think of another word that doesn't
we got to
go
keep
too well either, right?
stay away from that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for the next 2 hours or so, the man, Paul Greenberg, will be revealing the companies that made the CRM watch list and some other things. Matter of fact, why don't we just go ahead and start kind of setting the ground rules here? Bring this up. There we go. All right. So, a couple of things are new for 2022. Mr. Greenberg will walk you through it, starting with this.
All right. Most of you know the historic criteria. This is the 19th watch list. 2023's watch list will be the 20th and final one. So this one also has the honor of being called the penultimate. Okay. And the teller ultimate. That's Penn and Teller ultimate. Right. So the two things that were different this year, and they were very different, was it took a significantly higher score to win. And we'll be talking about that a little later in the show. And that was, let's just say, roughly 15% higher score to actually win this year over what the last watch list, because we suspended last year because of COVID, 2021 watch list. So, 2020, I'm sorry. So remember, significantly higher score. That's the first thing.
All right, you ready to go to the next one?
Yes, let's move it to the next one.
New number 2.
Now, as those of you who submitted this year, you note there was a question added about your pandemic response. Not only was that question important to this year's watch list, but the pandemic itself impacted significantly a number of answers or a number of questions, and the answer that you gave, whether you knew the pandemic was impacting it or not, mattered a great deal. And when the pandemic didn't show its head in those answers, it impacted your score in a negative way. So those two things created a dramatically more difficult watch list to win this year. Although there's some ironies to all that, as we will see as we go. So there you have it.
Move on.
Two things.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. So we're going to do, let me get rid of, sorry, I'm going to have to get rid of you, Martin. Doing the reveal of what this next couple of hours is going to look like. Let's walk them through this and pay attention to the thing in the top left there. So the list will be revealed in the category of win types. So we have winners, we have winners with distinction, and we have elite. And we'll reveal the list in those category orders, and we will reveal the list by alphabetical order of the company. Now, Paul, explain that last bullet point, winner acceptance speeches.
All right. So what we've arranged with all the companies who submitted, they don't know they won or not, that if they win, we will, to the best of our ability, because there's a lot of technical issues trying to do this one, bring on a representative, a predetermined named representative of the company to accept the award. What that means really is this: I'll be talking for about a minute or so. In the meantime, we'll hopefully get that person on, and we'll have about a 2-minute discussion with them about their company, and they're basically they're accepting the award for the company, but at the same time, we give them an opportunity to talk about their company. Now, just to be clear, this is not going to be an easy task, so we may miss a few here and there based on just interactions that don't mesh. Um, Nothing personal about it. We're only going to wait a certain amount of time before once that person's informed before we move on. It's because we have to keep the show moving. But that's the idea. The other thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, maybe, but that comes all of that comes not at the very end of the show because we have one other thing before that at that point, but somewhat close toward the back of the show, I'll call it. It's not the first thing we're going to be doing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But the main thing is, I feel like I'm in school or something. When you hear your name called, your company name called, if you're not already connected to me on LinkedIn, send me an invite to connect on LinkedIn. I'll immediately accept it, and then I will shoot over the link that will allow you to join us on screen. So if your company name is revealed and you are the folks that have been designated to accept the award, if you're not already connected to me on LinkedIn, send me an invite. We'll connect. I'll shoot you the link, and you will get your chance to pick up your award, not reward. You ain't getting any rewards.
Well,
Get an
you are,
award.
but later. There are some
All right.
rewards ultimately.
Yeah. Now, something that is, I think this is new, right? Because I don't think we did any. Well, we didn't do anything last year.
It's definitely all new, pretty much.
But explain the category winners.
So effectively, and there's a couple of categories that are not listed here for a reason, but effectively, as those of you who have actually filled out submissions know, there are 13 questions, and there was one optional question, but that's not part of this. Those 13 questions were categories. So one would be, say, marketing strategy, another one would be mission and vision, another one would be customers, another one would be outreach, and so on. What you see on the right. The two categories that are not in there are financial and our management team. Management team, just because that's way too personal for people. They don't win. Then how come my management team's not the best, right? But these other ones all had, even if they were, let's say they were or weren't a winner, they won a category, meaning they had the highest score of all in that one category. And we're going to announce as a shout out, effectively like the other thing there, we're going to announce the category winners. That doesn't mean you won the watch list. It means you had the highest score in a single category. There were one or two surprises, but there always are. So that's the thing, folks. I mean, you'll see all of that. And Brent, why don't you explain shout outs?
Okay. A shout out is when somebody, appreciates something that you've done and they give you a shout out. Saying, hey, oh, okay. In the context of the award. Okay. So, yeah. So we did what we called shout out awards or distinctions or something like that. When we did BYOB 2020, we had 3 identified categories where people could win the gold, bronze, and silver. But as we went through the process of looking at all the stuff and looking at all the work that went in this, some of these individual things like the videos or the songs or the social presence, although those things weren't gold, silver, and bronze awards. We want to just give it a shout out because of all the work that went into it. So consider this the watch list shout outs, not official award, but we wanted to at least identify folks who did a really good job in these areas: best social media strategy, best presentation, most promising company. Do you want to just say anything about any of those things before we get going?
Yeah, actually, each one of them probably deserves a little bit. Best social media strategy is pretty much what it looks like. There was one company, and it will be named later, whose social media strategy just was head and shoulders above anyone else's. And it was just outstanding at a level that was exceptional. And in effect, it was so good, it led to the category itself, right? Because the shout outs, keep in mind, come pretty much when things stand out from the submitters, not, oh, let's find the best social media strategy. Wow, this is an amazing social media strategy, needs recognition. Now, second one, this is kind of tricky because one of the things with the watch list is a category or a sort of category called intangibles. And even though there's nothing in anywhere in the watch list that suggests that if you are giving me a submission, you should do anything but just give me the Word document back with your answers. Style actually matters, especially now we're in a world where content creation and visual matters a lot, right? So there were companies, most companies, honestly, of all the submitters, just gave me the Word doc back. But there were a couple who really built beautiful looking submissions, and they have to be called out for that. And by the way, that actually got them points on the score. That's the thing. The one thing, it's one of those intangibles that I don't tell you I'm looking for, but I am. Now you know, one more year, so you'll know better next year. Now, most promising company is sort of mildly bittersweet. I guess this is where we can talk about the general idea. This is a company or companies that essentially scored well enough to win the last time, but not this time. And the companies chosen, though, for most promising company, and it may be one, it may be two, maybe five, it's whatever we decided. But the companies that get this because they are most likely to win if they submit for the next one, because they're that close and they actually did win under the old system. So there's a lot to this, and there's more to it than that, but there's no time to really go through it that went into it. So those are the three shout outs are for.
All right. All right. So before we get into the list, you wanted to go over a couple of overarching trends and themes from this year's list. You have your top four. Let's go to number one.
All right. So here's the thing. Just to lay some groundwork, or let's put a disclaimer in place here. These are not Esteban Kolsky's opinions. Okay, that's no, that's a semi inside joke or a longtime watcher of CRM Playaz joke, right? So these are based on the submissions. Okay, it's strictly on the submissions. This isn't trends in the market that are generally ascertained. They're based on the submissions I got and what showed up in a way that was substantial enough to be noted, and what's interesting potentially given things going forward. Okay, and there were four of them that stood out. One was this: composable architectures, no code development, and low code applications dominated the evolution of most of the offerings I got, almost all of them, really. There was some discussion in the technology stack questions about no code and low code in particular, and also composable architecture. So what we were seeing was, and interestingly, if I'm picking one, no code was the most dominant. It was basically, we were looking at almost every company, almost, not all. Every company was essentially looking towards some form of citizen development a studio that they could offer that would provide tools that would be effective for, now as I think Creatio calls them knowledge workers, rather than hardcore coders, and this was really a very big deal in the tech discussion. So that's the first one, and it was a true standout in terms of it. Judge it for yourself whether you think it was good or bad. All right, this one is like, polemic people like me and Brent and Esteban and Dennis Pombry and a bunch of others have been pushing for years, which is that in the world of the 21st century, you better be thinking in terms of platforms and ecosystems. And for a long time, that was a question as to whether it was going to go that way, judging from, again, the submissions. This literally is the way everyone's thinking in some capacity. Now, does it mean they all have highly evolved ecosystems, partner ecosystem, customer ecosystems, end-to-end look at ecosystems? Do they all have highly evolved technology platforms? No. This isn't state of evolution. This is built into tech strategy and built into main general market strategy, right? So this, again, the discussions around them were substantial. I don't want to say all of the submissions had it. This was a number that didn't, but there were a substantial enough number to make this clear that this has gone beyond, radical thinking of a few, hopefully visionary analysts. It's actually now mainstream thinking at technology companies. So that was another fascinating thing I did not expect. This one was pretty much the stock standard term, right? Now, there's a lot to what this means, right? Meeting customers where they are in everyone's case is, look, we have to look at we have to understand who the customer is, see what they're asking us to do, try to help them with outcomes, and do it in a manner that they want to do it, right? And that's pretty much what meeting customers where they are means. The problem with this one, but is that it could be pretty much just a catchphrase, right? In a lot of cases, meaning it's just something you're supposed to say. And there was some of that in the submissions where there was no proof that that's how you're thinking of it. But when you looked at the fourth one, which we'll get to in a minute, which was the biggest surprise of all, there's some substance to the fact that companies are trying to figure out how to do this effectively. Look, every company, all of the companies that submitted, regardless of whether they won or lost, are a work in progress, even the biggest ones, right? They're all works in progress. And this is something that is as much aspirational as it is, realistic and pragmatically current. But it's there, it's inculcated and embedded, and it's expressed pretty much with that exact phrase. So that was that. Okay. So now, this was the most interesting to me. Best way to put this is there was one question that was optional. And every submitter had the option to answer, and actually only one didn't answer it. It basically laid out a series of phrases like CRM, customer relationship management, customer experience, CDP, omni-channel, channelist, etc. There's about 15 definitions, I think, or so. And I asked them all, it's optional, it'll benefit you if you answer it. And when they all answered, and I said, what's your definition of these terms? With a very few exceptions where a company said, well, in this case, channelist was the one that stood out. And for a reason. Many years ago, when omnichannel became omnichannel, and we all hated the word, I would put out this thing that I'd give people $100 gift certificate to Amazon and attribute a new word to them if at all possible. And the person, interestingly enough, who came up with channelist at that time, it was the first time I had heard the expression used, was Jamie Anderson, who now, as you know, is the chief sales officer over at Exactly. At the time, he was CMO of SAP CX, and of course, an independent influencer in his own right. And Jamie is the one who came up with channelists. And I loved the word. I didn't know how it could be used at the time. Well, here's the thing. There were a couple of companies who were pretty much adamant about the fact this is not a good word. They don't believe in it. Blah 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 blah. Maybe 2, 3. Everyone else, different story. And I'm going to read you the three definitions. I won't state which companies they came from, that kind of bring it closest to the overall emerging definition of the term. The first one said, and this was the common phrase with a number of them, one step beyond omni-channel. For the customer, the channel is secondary to their experience. They simply want their interaction to be frictionless and personalized. While omni-channel connects multiple channels, channelless is about the experience. Okay, Chief Revenue Officer, sorry, you're right. Thanks, Eric. I don't know. That's mean Chief Revenue Officer is a new name for sales officer. Here's another one. Channelless, referred to by some as multi-experience, takes omni-channel to the next level, which is predicated on a truly holistic outside-in perspective. Customers don't think in terms of channels, touch points, and silos. They think in terms of what they need to get the job done. The essence of the channelless approach is to understand and serve the needs of your customer from their perspective. And the third one was, channelless is the next step in the sophistication of managing customer engagement over different channels. In a channelless strategy, orchestrating customer engagement across different channels has become so simple that a business is able to focus on building an exceptional customer experience and brand experience without needing to worry which channels are in play with the customer. So those three, if you combine them all, actually come as close to an emerging definition. And yes, Esteban, there's a lot of buzzwords in them, you're right. But at the same time, it's work in progress, right? So that's the thing. Look, everyone uses the words they're familiar with before they don't, right? So this is what we're dealing with. These are emerging definitions. It's the first time I've seen anyone substantially even try to put something together, and almost all of them had very similar perspectives on what it means. And everyone recognized it as different from omni-channel. Now, whether you believe in a strategy or not, it's up to you. But the idea that this definition is starting to emerge is interesting and goes to the third one, the meet the customers where they are. Right. So that's the four things that really stood out this year. There were a lot of other ones, but they were only discussed at the happy hour yesterday. And that was the only place they're ever going to be. So You missed it. Tough luck.
All right. So before we get on with the list, we want you to save the date. 1:30 East Coast, March 31st. We're doing our first CRM Playaz Roundtable, Executive Roundtable conversation of the year. It's going to be on one of those 3-letter acronyms. Are you down with CDP? Man, did I just really say that?
Yes, you did. It's sad.
Wow. Can't even take it back at this point.
No. Two things now.
Anyway, we all know CDP is a hot topic. And in recent conversations, it's really been boiling up. David Rabb, who I'd like to call the godfather of CDP. He's going to be our co-host for this as we assemble about 5 of the big names in CDP, particularly in our industry, to talk about what's going on and go from there. You know how it is. It's totally unscripted, lightly structured, no script conversations. And we will give you more information as we get closer to the event. Anything else to add to that one, PG?
No, that's it. That's pretty much what we're doing. And again, to Brent's point, nothing's preconceived.
Okay. We'll give Esteban some credit
All
He was
right.
the he was the one that kind of the proponent of this topic for this conversation. So more props, more props. Those will be the only props you get
That's
today.
right. We'll send him a prop or two too.
Okay, yeah. He needs a prop. Prop that anyway. All right. So one last thing before we dig in. Oh, it would help if I move this thing around. So we're gonna try to have a little fun with the list. We'll sprinkle in what we like to call fake prop bets. Emphasis on the word fake, because you ain't getting nothing except the satisfaction of being right if you can answer these questions. All right. So in the comments, if you want to take a shot at this, let us know what you think will be the number of companies on the overall list, on the watch list. Whoever puts the right one in first wins.
Okay, clarify. Are you talking about the number of submissions here or number of winners?
The number of folks on the list, not, I mean, the whole list, not just categories, like not just the winners, not just the winners with
So the
distinction,
total,
not
the
just
total number of
the
submissions.
total number of folks that are on the list that we reveal.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not the total number of submissions then. Okay.
No, well, you
Okay, gotcha.
already told them that
Right,
on
yeah.
last week's show. So,
Yeah, but how many of them watched it?
I don't know.
Most of these people
Sven.
that weren't watching last week.
Sven, wait a minute. Have we heard from Sven today?
No, I'm worried
What the
now.
hell? Okay.
Sven, where are you? If you're available, come and show us that you're around.
Okay. Can I just point one thing out?
Yeah.
Since you kind of did say how many companies submitted, and maybe to allow Alyssa Houchin Soriniak, and I know I probably just butchered your name, but she guessed 103. Do you want to tell her at least how many actually submitted, since you mentioned it last week?
Well, that everybody's guessing number of submissions right now, except
Why does it say
Eric
it
and
says
Christine.
make the list?
And
It's
well,
with-
half of them are suggesting the total, and the other half is suggesting the number of winners. They're just judging
That's
from
what
the
it is. How many
discrepancy.
companies will make the list? Not how many were submitted. How many will make the list?
All right, let me tell you the number of submissions. This is total submissions.
See,
this year.
let me pop up one.
Yeah.
Jason was listening last week.
Well, he was actually at the happy hour where we did talk about it.
That's right.
The happy hour people know that's the number of submissions this year, not the number who made the finals, not the number who made the ultimate list.
Right. So, what we're asking for, as after we reveal the final company to make the list, how many companies in total will be there? That's what
So
that
we're
question
talking
is.
about effectively here winners with distinction, elite, total.
Right.
The total
Whatever
of those.
the number of companies that show up
Total.
that we bring to you, that total. Now, some of you will give you a chance, and maybe there's some confusion, but we just want your guess for the total number of companies that will make up this year's list. All right. Now, we got some interesting numbers already in here.
Well, Cindy Beecham's the most interesting.
Oh, let me see.
That has a lot of other significance.
Okay.
Mm.
So with that in mind, we'll keep all that there. So with that in mind, I think we're ready. So
Wow, this is big. All right, Brent. So
just remember, if you hear your company name called and you are the person representing your company, if you're not already connected to me on LinkedIn, send me an invite. I'll send you the link to join us. So keep that in mind.
Before we put out, remember again, this is alphabetical to the category of winner. Meaning if it's winner with distinction, It'll start alphabetically again when the second category arises.
So the list of names that will be read off right now are the first category, which is winners.
All right,
Ready?
let's take it away.
The first winner is. Wish I had a drum roll.
I know. Well,
Where's the
StreamYard
drum
won't
roll?
let you.
No, it really won't. But here we go.
Adobe, congratulations,
Adobe.
Adobe. Now, look, simply, the reason Adobe won is because ultimately they're so incredibly well positioned for the transformation that's going on now globally. They have absolutely rock solid products in multiple areas. They are smart enough to understand the creator side, even though their submission, of course, is primarily focused around digital experience cloud. Um, they have effectively they're a presence that is known in multiple different domains and different markets. I mean, it's a company that has an unmistakable impact in both overt and behind the scenes in multiple ways. And you know what? They proved it. So, Adobe, you absolutely deserve this.
All right. So I am already connected to Blake Stoll and Laura Irvin. I have sent them the invite via LinkedIn. So folks, check your LinkedIn messages. You'll get the link, and we will bring you right on to accept your award.
I can keep talking until they show up.
Yeah, might as well. We'll
So
give them a minute or so.
again, Adobe's the key to Adobe was their awareness too of the fact that their overall platform and ecosystem are completely in effect dependent on each other and tied to each other. So, for example, the intersection between Experience Cloud and Creative Cloud shows up tremendously in products like Adobe Experience Manager, where uh, and the use of their AI too, where you can actually build campaigns and even conversations around uh, the use of Lightroom or Photoshop or some of the other ones with Experience Manager, and Sensei will tie it all together to allow you to optimize the actual experience that you're attempting to create. That's one thing. The other side goes to the other side, which is the Creative Cloud, right? Where they think about their tagline, which is connected creators, right? And they understand that from the overall efforts that are necessary to actually appeal to not only the existing Gen X and baby boomer types, but the millennials and the Gen Zers who are moving into power, and they're continually adapting the platform to try to meet the needs of those different, not just generations, but those different groups of leaders. Um, and they just do a lot of the operational stuff really well, right? And it's funny, as creative a company as they are, they're also a highly technical company, and they're very operationally focused. One thing where they stood out in really interesting ways was on alliances and partnerships. So, for example, they have an alliance which might, on the surface of it, not seem like a great fit, but it's with ServiceNow, and it's absolutely working beautifully, really, at least from what I know of it. And so, again, I'm not going to go into the benefits of that. There's no time for that. This isn't a full analyst thing. That will happen in other things. But they are just the winners, and they belong in this. They were. Let's say this. They did what they had to do to prove their case.
Yes. Oh, there he is. Perfect timing. And now, representing Adobe to receive their award is Blake Stoll. Blake,
Blake,
congratulations.
congrats, man.
Hey there.
He looks a little overwhelmed.
I know.
He
I know.
wasn't
This was
really
your
expecting.
biggest moment of your entire life. So Blake, look, I'll tell you what, make it easier on you because this is new for us too, right? It's hard to know what to say, really, other than thanks. But just talk about Adobe a little bit from the standpoint of what I don't know how much you heard of what I was saying, but one of the things that stood out was the connection between creative cloud and experience cloud. So talk to that, talk to whatever else you'd like to, and let us know. You'll let us know by telling us why you won the award.
So there's a little bit of a delay between what I'm watching on the video and being live.
Yeah, that's
Don't look at the video right now.
Right,
Just
literally,
go with
don't
us.
look at the video. That's your best bet. He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
This is like a dispatch in Kiev.
You might want to just shut your LinkedIn window down.
Yep, that's what I'm going to try and do right now.
There it is. Okay. Wow, he is way far behind us.
Okay, give me just 1 second here.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. I'm closing that. Never easy to be the guinea pig, right? So
it's okay.
Just wanted to say thanks for the recognition, along with my colleague Laura Irwin on the Adobe Analyst Relations team. This is something that we submit for every year, and I think as we wrote and put together the submission for this year, it brought home to me really, to summarize it all kind of in just a couple of sentences, the core values that Adobe has. And as Paul and Brent, as you guys say in the application for this, it's not just what you do as a company, it's how you do it and what you stand for, and how you treat your community that you work in and the greater world, as well as your employees and your customers and all of your stakeholders. And so when I think about Adobe, when I think about what we have going on in the back of our minds as we submit for this, I think about the four attributes, the four core values of Adobe, which are, being genuine, being exceptional, being innovative, and being involved. And those are the four core values of Adobe. They have been ever since I've been at Adobe, which has been almost 15 years. And it's what the founders really put into place when they started the company. And it's what we try to represent. So thank you for the recognition, and great to be a part of it.
Well,
Awesome.
Very happy to have you, believe me.
Absolutely. Congrats again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
All right.
All right. Let's bring the screen back up. And ready for number 2?
Yep.
All right. And once again, these are all in alphabetical order. And up next is
Anaplan. This was every year, there's at least one company, sometimes a little more, that surprises. One year, many years ago, it was Pros. Every year there's another company or two that hadn't won or not even submitted for the first time that just show enough to win. Anaplan is this year's. Now, the thing with Anaplan, which was striking, well, first of all, partly what was striking about Anaplan, to be perfectly honest, because they're not a company I routinely cover, was their size. I didn't realize they were let's say a substantially large company. I can't remember whether their financials were confidential or not, so I won't say it. But a very large company, number one. Number two is the impact they have in, so Anaplan Anaplan calls itself. I'm trying to remember the exact. They have a phrase they use. I have to look it up. Though. Hold on.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Dana Tarian, I believe you are the representative. I just sent you a LinkedIn connection invite that also includes the link that will let you join us here. So check out your LinkedIn, and hopefully you'll be able to join us.
So yeah. So Anaplan is what it sounds like. It's they call themselves connect. Their sort of tagline is connected planning. They're they basically are strategic planning. They are modeling. But the interesting thing about the way they operate is they integrate the modeling and the planning capabilities directly into the overall operations of the company, as opposed to, hi, we have a completely and please take this metaphorically when I say this, we have a completely independent strategy document. We have a completely, it's literally dynamic. The plans can shift and change according to how the company shifts and changes. You're measuring constantly against the plan and building the models out to do that. I mean, but they do it in a way that is actually so impressive, and their customer stories are so so they have such a big impact in terms of the results they get doing it the way they do it, and they're an astoundingly well organized company. When I say that, meaning, look, one of the things, okay, Dana, see you in a minute. One of the things that's amazing about Anaplan is, look, again, they're not a company I've covered. I know a couple of people over there, but they're not a company I've covered, really. But one of the things that actually really surprised me and I really liked was that there's two things you have to do when it comes to impact in this award. You have to show me the impact in the year that the award is based on. So 2022 would be based on 2021. And you have to show me that. But plus you have to show me how organized and infrastructurally ready are you for 3 years of continued impact. And if you can't show me both and really make it clear as possible that you have both had the impact and will have continuing impact, you don't win. You can have an enormous amount of impact in 1 year, but if you can't show me 3 years of preparation for the successful preparation for those 3 years, you lose. These guys are first, they had the impact in their domain really well, right? Because that's the other thing. You can win for a market, you don't have to win for a global market. A lot of it depends on your own scope, right? And number two is their preparation for the next 3 years of impact was pretty extraordinary and surprising. So they won, and deservedly so. Again, they were this year's new surprise winner. So you're talking about is Dana here?
Well, he was, and then he just disappeared.
Dana, come back.
Well, it was interesting. His name showed up, but his video never did. And then it all just went away. So hopefully he's going to try to get in all the way. And when he's ready, we will bring him on immediately.
All right. I mean, last thing I'll say about them is the other thing that was a little bit surprising, and this was just generally because when you're thinking about it, you're not thinking about like multiple solutions, multiple capabilities. But these guys here, I'll just give you a brief idea. This is use cases they cover, and just a few. Planning, budgeting, forecasting, obviously. I'm picking out of a hat here. One's relevant to this. Sales planning, sales incentive, sales insight, supply planning, demand planning, sales and ops planning. They're focused on pretty much every facet of a company that impacts customers in any way. Sales, supply chain, workforce, and marketing, and finance too, but that's a little less from that. But they have an extensive partner network too. That was the other thing that surprised me. And the other thing, they had um, a very good uh, plan for, so to speak, was their their partner planning, right? The way they actually looked at their partner ecosystem was not just a number, but the actual partner benefit, and then what they offered partners and how they organized the relationship between them and the partners was really incredibly solid and sound. Like anything else, and I'm not going to go through these details. All companies had their own weaknesses. Adobe did, Anaplan does. But generally, these guys really, really stood out. Okay, actually, Rebecca will be out here later, and we can talk to that a
Right.
bit.
Let me just. So he said he was going to try. I haven't seen him yet, and I don't think we'll be able to, hold us up much longer because we got a lot to go through. So, Dana, if you can join us in the next minute, 30 seconds. If not, we might just go ahead and move on.
Still got
But
a
it's a
long
big,
ways to go.
we're glad to see Anaplan because, like you, that's a company that really doesn't cross my radar that much. So, pretty
Luckily,
cool.
we have a player in residence who it does.
Absolutely.
Rebecca.
Okay, why don't we just move on to
All
the
right.
next one? And
Sorry, Dana. We'll have you on the show at some point. So
absolutely,
don't worry.
all right. So, keeping things moving. Somebody we know pretty well, Creatio.
Creatio. And listen, before we get anywhere on Creatio, I'm sure everybody's fully aware of the invasion of Ukraine that went on last night and early their morning. For those who don't know, Creatio was born and raised in Kiev, right? And most of the people in Boston, many of the people in Boston, are people who came to the U.S. to run the business from the U.S., who have a lot of family in Ukraine. Uh, this is basically support from Brent and I and anyone else in the audience who's watching. Hopefully, put something in the comments for them of Creatio for what they and their families and staff, many of whom are still in Ukraine, are going through. I did check in with them early this morning to make sure that people were okay, and they said, the CEO there, Catherine, told me that yeah, everyone's safe. A lot of them have been moved out of eastern Ukraine to the western side for now, and both families and staff are currently all fine. But I want to make sure that it's clear our support on this for Ukraine
Absolutely.
and what they're going through, and condemnation of Russia and that piece of crap Putin. Anyway, with that, let me talk to Creatio. All right. So, for those of you who don't know Creatio, their name originally was BPM Online. Brent and I, several others on this call, like who are in the audience, like Esteban, ran across them back in 2011 when they were the first winners ever of CRM Idol.
Nice.
This is a company that has been on now they actually give CRM Idol an enormous amount of credit for having brought their name to the public. I've been in this company has just been extraordinary for years. I mean, they are on a major roll right now. They're growing massively. They are one of the best companies I've ever seen in terms of how they apply things and do things. For example, when they launched, and they're also a company that understands creativity and understands aligning that creative impulse that they do have with things as they're evolving. The company itself is primarily composed of millennials, right? So it's and they have fun. So, for example, this is shocking. It's not really part of the submission, but I'll tell you a story. When they were BP Online, they went through the rebranding, and the name. I was one of the people they interviewed for the new brand names, and this is the one I actually liked the best, was Creatio, and it actually goes really well with their name. And so the way once they decided on Creatio, the way they actually launched the rebranding was 165 members of the staff, including the CEO, Catherine Kostareva, jumped out of an airplane or jumped out of airplanes and literally skydived to the earth to announce Creatio. And there's pictures of them in the sky holding up signs that say Creatio. I spent my morning that day worried sick about them. Right. I was so nervous that something would get hurt. So, this is a company that just gets the idea of creativity, at the same time build incredibly technically sound capabilities. So, for example, they just did Creatio 8.0, which is their freedom release. And Brent and I were both we attended their roughly 45-minute launch of the new platform release. And aside from the fact that the actual video itself, the actual event itself was extraordinarily well done. And the point Brent's made frequently, they've even built their own events platform to do it. If you actually take a look at the release itself, it's brilliant. It's always been technically strong and technically interesting. Now they built out an interface, which bar none to me is the single best user interface and user navigation and thus UX I have ever seen in any product, right? It's aside from its ease of use and navigability, it's gorgeous. It's just as much as an interface can be gorgeous, okay, within limits. It's not as gorgeous as,
the Rams winning the Super Bowl.
Well, no, nothing's as gorgeous. Not even Rembrandt's as gorgeous as that, right? So, or Van Gogh or whatever. But that's the thing. Creatio is just absolutely brilliant. The other thing that they've done exceptionally well is their partner strategies and approaches. So, for example, in the case of their partners, the way they view industries, Creatio has about 2 or 3 industries that they hold title to, and then they encourage their partners to build out all the other industry-specific versions of Creatio's platform and then they go to market with those partners as they build out the industry's platform, which I think is a brilliant strategy, especially for a mid-sized company, is focused on with a mid-market strategy. The third thing that they do exceptionally well, they have been exceptionally well focused on no code, low code, no code. Now it's just no code. And they have built out a studio that allows you to develop apps in the middle of things. The way they historically did it at events, at lunch, they would take a couple of people from the audience that would go and build an app with some guidance, obviously, from a Creatio member, a Creatio employee. But over lunch, they build an app and then show the app after lunch. This time with the event, they had Paul Van Dyke, who's apparently a big deal DJ in Europe, on a mountaintop with this Creatio employee who literally looks like a male model, right? With his hair blowing in the wind, developing an app as he sits beside Paul Van Dyke doing a set. Okay. I mean, it was like, wow. That was,
by the way,
wow.
Andy's ready.
All right.
Ready to bring him on? All right.
Just me talking until someone's ready.
It seems like he was just with us like 2 weeks ago, was it?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
He just can't get enough of us. There he is.
Yeah, hello, friends. And we are very grateful for this award. I know that this year it was so difficult to get it, and it was an exceptional year for us, and the team worked extremely hard, and we are very, very proud to get this recognition. So, and super happy to see you both today.
Well, how are you guys doing, by the way? I mean, we I don't know if you heard, but we made sure, read the comments when you get a chance. There's a lot of support for what's going on for Ukraine in the comments, and you guys.
Yeah, so we right now we're taking care of all the employees and trying to give them a hand and protecting them. So right now it seems to be under control.
Okay. All right. Well, just know that what you can, if you need something from us, we're here to help.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, I want you to tell us something about. I thought, again, I'm maybe hyper focused on the UI UX and the experiential side of what you guys do and your creative side, because your name definitely is a great name for your company because of who you are. Talk a little bit about that, because a lot of companies who come out of the world of BPM are pretty much stay in the world of BPM in terms of their mental state. So discuss why you're different.
Well, there are three things why we're different, and they kind of broken down on these three different aspects of the company and the product. So the first one is what we call one platform. One platform is our ability to connect CRM into the unified journey with sales, marketing, and customer service, all interconnected and being built on the ground up. Our ability to add industry workflows and extend significantly the scope, and also our no-code capabilities in the marketplace. So if you compare it to us to some other traditional vendors in the space, you will see that they would use multiple different technologies and platforms. It's kind of its multi-platform approach, while in Croatia, it's one platform approach. And this brings great deal of alignment to organizations. Secondly, we are very focused on freedom to own your automation, where we are giving our customers and partners unlimited customization and ability to build apps and automate workflows without a line of code and no special skills needed. And finally, it's about our genuine care. It's how we treat our customers, our partners, our employees, making sure that we're being seen as a human-centric company and being focused on making sure that our customer community is successful and gets the best out of those relationships.
Let me to that. I'm going to go back to the look and feel stuff for a minute, because I think it's a big distinction. Okay, you actually have a sense of beauty with what you guys do. No, you do. I mean, there was something to that was a captivating interface, and I don't really feel that way about anybody's interfaces. Usually, sometimes they're nice, they're clean, they're pretty, they're good. But yours was literally a beautiful interface, and but you guys have always had that sort of right brain sense about you. Why, how, where's it come from? What's your thinking behind putting some time, effort, money into that? Because I think that's really important.
Well, there are a couple of ideas. First, it's coming from the top, from our CEO, who is a perfectionist in a good sense of this word, who always wants like we want to delight our customers, and we want to delight our customers from all aspects. And I think that access to data and interface, that's what you see in some roles, like from 9 till 5. That's what you see, the interface. And if it's not inviting, if it's not welcoming, probably it's just difficult to relate yourself to the application. And secondly, I think we were building lots of competencies around that, making sure that the visual appeal is great, making sure that everything is organized so that users can build those relationships with us as a company and with the product. So I think that was always part of our focus.
All right. Well, thanks again for taking time to join us. And congratulations.
So super grateful again. I know that this year and like we always really loved being recognized. We always treat this as a very special award. This year it's extremely special. So thank you so much, guys, for recognizing our hard work. I'll make sure that the team knows about this.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, man.
Congrats again, man. We'll
Bye.
see you again soon.
All right, man. We got to just keep moving all along.
Yeah.
Because there's still ways to go here. So next up is, I really wish we had a drum roll. Well, we don't.
I know. Next time. We got another show to do on this next year.
Microsoft on the list again. And
yeah.
Neha, I hope you're listening. I am just shooting you the link.
All right.
So join us whenever you can.
All right. So, look, Microsoft, if you're looking at Microsoft, it's interesting. Microsoft's kind of a bit of a conundrum when they do their submission. And it shows sometimes too, which is they're submitting for Dynamics because of the CRM nature of it. But the thing that makes Microsoft as powerful a company as it is, aside from history and pretty much owning operating systems, is that it's the totality of the company that's powerful. And Dynamics is part of that. Like, so for example, what I had to look at with Microsoft when I'm looking at criteria, I'm not just looking at Dynamics. I'm looking at Azure. I'm looking at Office 3. I'm looking at Microsoft 365 as a unified communications suite, right? I'm looking at Dynamics in that context of all those other things, and they're inescapably, inextricably intertwined. That's 3 I's, inescapably, inextricably intertwined, right? And you can't. It's undeniable. And then you just take the fact that they already hold a dominant position in the market, and they're almost nobody's a lock in this award because the submission itself actually matters. But Microsoft itself is just one of the companies that has among the biggest impact on the planet in many things. The other thing, which, I think you and I, Brent, have had a lot of experience with, is the philanthropical side of Microsoft. While we hear about it with all the other companies, Microsoft's philanthropical power is just incredible. It's 1.6 billion a year in services, software, and money grants, to companies. And then they have an AI devoted to nothing, or except to Esteban's point, machine learning, to nothing but doing good. So it's like they call it AI for Earth, AI for, I get all the categories, but it's 5 or 6. But it's, machine learning that is built for social good. And, these guys are so incredibly deep into the pores of the world of business and the world of just life in general, with things like the, Xbox and other entertainment capabilities, and just PCs, the PC industry itself, which is built on Windows 10 and 11, and is built, half of the industry is gaming, right? And that's the other area that they realize that. So Microsoft does things like they go and buy for billions of dollars various gaming platforms so that they can own the gaming market. And I think right now they're number 3 in the gaming market overall.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't view, when I viewed Microsoft's submission, I'd never view it strictly from the lens of Dynamics and CRM and CX and so on, because I can't, right? I can't. I mean, it's just too big, too intertwined, and ready to go.
Speaking of ready to go, our guest representing Microsoft, and I don't want to butcher your name, Neha. How do you pronounce your last name?
Neha Bajwa. You got it.
Neha, how you doing?
Thanks for joining
Good.
us.
How are you?
And congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is exciting. You guys really drag it out.
Yeah. It gets more. Believe me, torture is part of our DNA.
That's right.
Torture is definitely part of our DNA.
We want to keep you guys in suspense, or as my buddy used to say, in suspenders. But
so look, you're the new ruler of Dynamics, right? And so talk to us a little bit. I mean, I don't know how much you heard of what I just said, but the thing that always struck me, and actually when we were talking, prior day, is how integrated Dynamics is into the overall infrastructure and superstructure of Microsoft. And talk to that a little bit, because I think it's important people understand that interplay, because I think a lot of people don't get the true, profoundly big scope and impact that Microsoft has. And I really think it's important for them to see how Dynamics plays in that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I was a little distracted because I was trying to figure out the voice, because I could hear there was a lag here. But first of all, I really want to thank you for recognizing us. And it is always a great honor to be recognized among peers. So I really, really want to thank you guys for doing that. And, and you do not, you do drag it out. So I don't know what you asked, but I do want to say it was absolutely an honor and a privilege to fill it out, Paul and Brent, the entire survey, and really position. And you sort of said this, right? Microsoft is a little bit of a it's big. We have a lot of capabilities, and we sort of cover a lot of ground. And I think that in itself is a powerhouse because we have the collaborative tools, we have the cloud itself, Azure itself, the AI capabilities where we are innovating so much. And of course, the CRM capabilities with business applications, the insights capabilities. So they all come together to really provide our customers with the ability. And I shouldn't forget low code platforms that we have and all of the power capabilities with Automate and stuff like that. So being able to fill that out was massive. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity and then for being very patiently going through all the submission there.
Well, again, you guys are just you're not only are you just standouts. I mean, you're also like this insanely fascinating company. It's like just watching everything work. And a company of that size working as well as you do is astounding. And the other thing I noticed, and I always see reflections, and I guess this would be the last question, was you guys are very good at, and this showed in the submission too, you're very good at both short-term kind of tactical strategies, but really long-term, like not just 2-3 years out, but 10 years out, kind of long-term strategy and everything that goes into the 10 years. But you think further out than almost any company that I've run across, at least based on what I historically know and what I read. Okay, so can you discuss that idea of the longer term a little bit? Because I think people don't mostly do that.
Yeah, no, I will say this is where I think somebody put in the chat window, Satya's core mission is really about empowerment. And so a lot of the things that is also all about innovating to empower. And innovation takes time. And so it takes a lot of sausage making. It takes sitting in the kitchen, when you cook something, that takes time for it to come out. And so patience is very important with these things. And to your point, Paul, there has to be innovation, a team that innovates for the long term, and there has to be a team that executes for the short term. And the right balance and the harmony is important to get right. So those are the things that we really focus on from top down, from Satya down, and the SLT and the senior leadership. What are we doing and innovating to empower for the long term, and really with empathy, which is a core tenet of ours. Everything we do has to be with empathy and surfacing empathy for all of our customers so that they can empower and do more with the technology that we're putting in their hands. After all, we don't kid ourselves. We are a technology company. The other thing we do, so that to your point, Paul, there's the how do you execute in the short term but innovate for the long term, and then do it with respect, integrity, and accountability. Those are the three value tenets that the team of Microsoft has, and is all the way down to the individual contributor. And as long as we can keep doing that, we'll keep things exciting.
Okay, well, thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, and congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely
so
congratulations.
Exciting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So happy. Watch
you.
for a follow-up email. It's all coming.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along. Bring
Not
this
really.
guy up. Drum roll, please. Oh, we don't have one. Damn. Anyway, there it is.
Hey.
Pega.
Pegasus. All right. Brent, you want to call out who the rep is, and then I'll get into it?
Well, John Hune, I just sent you a LinkedIn invite, which has the link that you can use to join us. So be on the lookout for that.
All right. So Pega, why'd they win? Well, there were three things that really stood out with Pega, which was very interesting, and they not only stood out, but they were supported and justified by my ancillary research. One was their actual their platform, which is a highly innovative platform, not just a kind of rejiggered CRM platform now called an engagement platform, but they actually are doing a lot of things that are moving them toward very, let's say, things that are appropriate to the market needs of the next 5-10 years. And so, and that led to the other things, we'll get to all of them, was that they also stood out in thought leadership, which was really rare, by the way, that a company stands out in that, because that's typically not a strength of most companies. And then in the activity around and the strategy around how they market. So to go into that briefly, look, I mean, overall, I should say, they showed some, they are showing some actual innovation. So, for example, our buddy Jeff Nicholson, who is global head of CRM for them, has been somebody who actually was developing the concept of empathetic interaction before it became the talking point of the pandemic era, right? In fact, he and I actually did a presentation on a Pega stage on that, again, before it was a big thing. Then the other thing another level of innovation they're moving toward is what they call, and I'm not going to go through the explanations. If you'd like that, we can always talk offline, what they're calling autonomous customer service, using, of course, autonomous automobiles as kind of a, example of what autonomous means, but autonomous customer service, which is more, not even proactive, it's more anticipatory. And so basically, how do you prevent the problem before it becomes a problem? Which, leads to some interesting conundrum, because how do you know it was going to be a problem if it never happened, right? So, but the idea is something that they've worked on. And the thing with them is that they built out body of thought leadership in multiple ways. And you see a lot of that being publicly led by Don Sherman, who's the CTO and guitarist for the Layer Cakes, and Tom Libretto, who's the CMO and guitarist for the Layer Cakes. And of course, they were the award-winning band of Bring Your Own Band 2020, right? So you're talking about a company that really, really has gone from, again, a hardcore BPM company, has evolved to a company focused around engagement, and has actually built out the technology, the thought leadership, and the marketing strategy to build out the trust in the company as an engagement leader. And is John here yet? Just let me know.
Not yet. Haven't heard anything as of yet. We'll give him
I know
a minute
I saw him make a comment in the beginning of the show, so I know he's around.
Yeah.
He has to reach out to you on LinkedIn, I think. So,
right.
All right. So, and the other thing I'll say about Pega too is, interestingly enough, and this goes to a little bit of what came across, actually to Nicole's point, they do enjoy actually what they do. There's like every company, they're a large company. They have big things to deal with. They're not, Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, Oracle size companies, but they are big and they have a deep penetration. And they also, the other thing they were able to show very well is how deeply embedded in various verticals they are, and have not necessarily a market dominant position, but a strong market position in things like financial services. And they've managed to keep that domain power, even as they've evolved from BPM to experience to engagement, right? They didn't lose the customers. They have a very high retention rate for customers, very, very high. And they're a company that basically solid. So they've got everything they need to provide themselves with some real future impact too. They've got the this operations, the skills, and the people in place.
All right. Unfortunately, have not seen John,
Okay.
so we'll just move on.
All right.
But once again, congrats to Pega. By the way,
Absolutely.
I got their new magazine, an actual print magazine. Really cool.
Which is oddly, it's oddly aligned with the market, given that everyone knows magazine publishers are going out of business right and left. But a magazine isn't necessarily a bad format because it's actually digestible content in a physical form.
Hey, let me say something. John says he's trying to get in. Click on the image that comes out. If you click on the image, it'll notice the actual StreamYard link for this event. If you don't click on it and just click on that StreamYard URL, it'll just bring you to StreamYard. So just click on the image, and that should bring you right into the green room. And hopefully we'll be able to talk to you for a minute, let you accept the award.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah,
So,
we'll see.
and last but not least on Pega, and to Nicole's point, right, also, they really did have an award-winning band, right? And again,
yeah.
creative company that understands innovation in their case, which was, to be honest, not a dominant part of submissions. I'm being polite, really, but the bulk of the submissions were literally not showing any foundation for innovation or creativity. Almost very, very few. And Pega was one of the companies that did show it.
Right.
So, and that was an important part, even if it wasn't a publicly, there's nothing in the questions that talk to how innovative or creative you are, right? But, you know, the companies that showed it, the companies that were it, showed it. All right.
We've got John.
Okay.
There he
There
is.
you are.
Hello, Brent and Paul.
Hey, John. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
What an honor to be named to the penultimate CRM Watchlist. So that's great. Thank you so much. I mean, as you guys know, whether it's vying for this award, which we strive to do every year, or competing in the Battle of the Bands, always our pleasure to be engaged with and recognized by the CRM Playaz.
All right. Question for you. And it's unfortunately have to be a little shorter just because of time considerations. But one question. You guys are an innovative company. And again, I said that was scarce this year. So how is that baked into the DNA of Pega? Because again, I think people need to hear how you guys sort of just routinely be innovative, which might sound like a, oxymoron, but isn't. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, companies led by an incredibly innovative person in Alan Treffler. But as you guys know, we provide digital transformation software, and we're driven to crush business complexity. That's through our AI-powered decisioning and workflow automation, our low-code platform. And I think you'd find that it's a passion for all of us inside of Pega to help our clients to know their customers better, apply real-time insights to deepen their relationships, through messaging and through offers, and to automate customer service processes so our clients' customer service teams can just focus their efforts on delivering amazing experiences. And then, of course, through our low-code platform, streamlining those experiences to automate tasks and orchestrate processes. So I think it's that passion, that drive, that ambition that started with the founding of the company that motivates us all and pushes us all to ultimately deliver that in for our customers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you for the honor yet again, gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Congratulations, my
All
friend.
right.
We'll be talking. Watch for follow-up.
All right. Let's do a real quick hello to Rebecca Wetman.
Hey, saying hi. Caught you by surprise.
Oh, there you go. Caught me. Good afternoon.
Yes,
gentlemen.
we did.
Good.
Thank you for
nice
joining
sound,
us.
Nice video.
Yes. And thank you even more for the chocolates.
Yes.
they were
Thank
so
you
good.
so much for that. They were
So
wonderful.
good.
And you
All
are
right.
wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, we will see
So
you in a bit.
we'll see you in a bit. All righty. Let's keep this thing moving. Next up, fake drum roll, please. Pros.
Pros. Listen. Okay, Brent, who's the rep for pros? And then I'll get into it.
All right. Let me find Nadine Piter. Is that how
Piter.
you pronounce her name?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Look, what can I say about pros? This is a company that I've known them for 8 years, and I've been an advisor to the company. I've been a friend of the company. And same time, look, to be honest, they weren't given any better treatment than anybody else. I was trying to make them lose. So that said, there's certain things that just really stand out about this company. Number one is market dominance. In the look, if you're looking at what they historically have offered, they came into the world of pricing optimization. They acquired a company called Chameleon and came into CPQ. But what they really are is a absolutely brilliant AI platform, or again, Esteban, deference to Esteban, machine learning platform, right? They're absolutely brilliant in what they have. Their platform can literally do anything you want it to do. Now they have focused in on pricing optimization for years, and they are the market dominant force in that. At one point, I can't speak to the absolutely current, but close to this, they had 80% market share. In the airline industry, they had, I think it was like 95% market share, something like that. It was just massive. And again, this is a market impact award. But the other thing they have, which is much rarer, is they have an absolutely one of the great cultures of any company I've ever run across. Part of that is due to the CEO, Andres Reiner, who is arguably not only is he an excellent CEO, but one of the nicest people I've ever met and cares genuinely about his employees. And number two is that the history of the company, it's a 30-year-old company, and they have employees who have been there 30 years, right? The history of the company has always been toward caring about its employees and caring about its customers. I've attended multiple Outperforms, which is their conference, obviously virtually now, but in person. And I've never seen relationships with their customers like I've seen with this company and its customers. It's remarkable. To give you an idea, and this is probably the best way to look at it on the cultural side. Several years ago, I was talking to an employee at Pros, a person who's a dear friend of mine there, and I had just met her at that point, and we're chatting, and I always ask relatively young people, well, in this case, very young person, what's your game plan for like 5 years from now? What are you thinking? And most of the time they have some sort of job they want to do or something like that. Her answer was interesting. She said, was more than interesting, it was telling. She said, I don't really know what I want to do, but one thing I do know is I want to do it at Pros. Meaning, meaning? I'm sure you can figure out what makes that a unique statement. And so you're talking about a company with an extraordinary culture, with a remarkable group of people who dominate a marketplace, who have one of the most, I'm using a industry buzzword term here, extensible, one of my least favorites, platform that pretty much can do anything. Look, when we were all talking about best next action and proactive, activities, Pros was doing that like 5 years before anybody else. I actually saw their best next action stuff like 6 years ago. And it was astounding then and is better now. And look, they have industry luminaries there. Like they have Michael Wu, who is their chief AI strategist and of course is driving their efforts at the company. And I think many of you probably know Michael, who is one of the leading influencers and leading and one of the big thought leaders in not just the space of AI and ML, but in literally in things like influence, like the definition of influence and the like. Michael's been there and done that. I mean, he goes way back with me and Esteban and a few other people who have known him a long time and known what he brings to the table. And he travels the world speaking on it and is highly awarded and recognized. So you're talking about a company that's got a lot put together, right? And their win, again, I was being nasty, so it wasn't easy for any company to win. But certain things stood out in such a big way that were among the more heavily weighted things for them that they won. And so that, to their credit, kudos. Now,
All right, let me, Nadine, I sent you a LinkedIn invite. So if you go to LinkedIn, hopefully you'll see it. The link is there. Just click on the image and that should bring you in. Okay.
yeah, she says hi, trying to connect with Brent in the comments I see.
Right. That's why I was saying that.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was just coincidence.
Actually, no, it wasn't. But in the meantime, we'll give her a minute to try to get through.
Yeah.
But since we did say hello to Rebecca, we should also say hello to the Golden Smog on and talking.
The Golden Smog. What does that even mean?
I have no clue,
I
but
get
it sounded
nicknames
really
every
kind of
time I'm
weirdly
on.
cool.
Wow.
Sounded weirdly cool.
Yeah. Nice. Your throat is goldeny and smoggy. I don't know. It just sounded good.
Well, it's wonderful to see everybody, and certainly support to all the folks in the Ukraine. I've been watching, on the side, and even been getting debriefed on a few things. And I hope things get well. And it's a great time to sell. At least we can focus on a nice opportunity to celebrate. And looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, be prepared, man.
Maybe we'll have to talk with Nadine a little at another time because we got to kind of keep things moving.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not able to get through with her. So sorry, Nadine, but we'll definitely have you on in one of the shows and we'll talk about, let you officially pick up your award. All right.
That's right. Physically pick it up.
And we'll
It's an
talk
NFT.
to
all the awards are NFTs.
All right. And we'll talk to the Golden Smog later. By the way, Esteban is saying volume. Need more volume from you. So we'll talk to you later.
All right, man. See you in a bit.
I can't even say how many more we have to go because then that would give away the fake prop bet thing.
We're moving along. We'll move. We'll get there.
We'll move it. Next up, I like to do a little suspenseful halt there. Salesforce.
Well, yeah, what can you say? This was like, as much as I tried to disqualify him, I couldn't. Right. So, I mean, Salesforce is Salesforce.
What?
I mean,
wait a minute.
Right. No, that's how I do it. Everyone, every single company got the worst of me. Like I literally fought the company. That was the idea. My whole idea was to have no winners of any kind. Right. Would have been a much shorter show. Too,
what were we going to been doing for 2 hours? Like tap dancing?
No, we literally would have said, no one won. Right. So,
by the way, Nadine, yes, we'll talk to you on a show. We'll get you back on with us.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get you on. There's plenty of opportunity ahead, and we'll discuss that at the end of the show a little bit.
You know what?
Very end.
I think we should go for the record. We should try to outdo the Oscars and see how long we can make this show.
Oh, it would be great if the music comes on so that when the speech is running too long.
Right. Hurry it up.
Yeah, let's get, and we'll bring out Ernst & Young in a few minutes to verify the results. Look, Salesforce, it tells you something when I just said Salesforce is Salesforce. That tells you how much impact they already have, right? Because when I said that, I don't think anyone said, well, what the hell does that mean? Right? They knew exactly what that means. Salesforce has been, and I don't know if they're going to continue to be. I can't speak to that because I'm not trying to predict the future, but they, let's say, more than likely will continue to be. But one of the biggest, most dominant forces in technology history, much less in history. Now, that said, they still have to prove it, and they still have to do a lot. And as they get bigger and bigger, it's harder and harder to do that, not in terms of dominance, but creating all the organizational structures and technologies and everything else you need to make this successful. But what Salesforce has always done, and they have done this exceptionally well, even though they've evolved it in terms of how they've done it, is there's power. And it's a power. Isn't their technology platform, isn't the marketing efforts of Mark and other things, it's their ability to externalize their culture to an audience that is not just their customers, not just the prospects, but people who otherwise would have no interest in technology, who still want to be a part of something more than just a company they buy stuff from, right? And their outreach isn't to a world of prospects. Their outreach is to a world. And it's been exactly what they've done from, now I don't want to say day one, but well along in the as they moved and evolved the company. So you're talking about a company that when people listen to what they do, they participate in something Salesforce provides them to participate. They read about what Salesforce does that goes beyond, and there's one last point I'll make on this.
And we have our guest waiting. So.
Oh, okay. Now I'll make it really fast. Beyond the just the sale of technology, they also, one of the things that helped them win this was their pandemic response. They made a major point, not only of the things they did for their customers and employees, but the things they did for the world. And that is mission critical. And I will tell you, most of the companies didn't do that. They did. And that power is Salesforce's power. They have a global idea of what it means to externalize culture, not just a technology industry idea. That's a superpower. And then as a result, here they are.
Speaking of here,
and
they
there
are.
He is.
There
he is.
Congratulations.
Man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back from that trip.
Not sure which trip that is, but the Yosemite trip.
It was the last trip.
Wait a minute.
Like,
Wait a minute. John. We did it.
yes, the Rams. Yes.
Oh my God.
I wasn't sure if you're still in your cone of silence or your
The NCZ. No comment.
I didn't come out of that until the Tuesday after.
I wanted to
to
text
compose
you so much, and during that, as I was watching that was just amazing. You know?
That was a great game. It really was. It really was.
It certainly was, Bob Fagel.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. And look, so it's so funny. It's like, what can you say, really? You are who you are as a company, and you've always been. You almost since '99, you've almost been that just much smaller version of this. But talk to a little bit about Salesforce and the externalization of culture, because I actually think that's the key point that other companies could learn from. How you do that, and because what you do is astounding.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the award. It means a lot, and I'm still trying to process what you meant by you're trying to disqualify us. But
that's every company got that. Every single company.
Okay. All right. You're trying to rule us out. So that makes the award even more, more impactful, I think. So thank you. I know you spend a year on this, and it's hard for you guys. So what does it mean? Well, we have a CEO who actually is an amazing marketer, an amazing business visionary, amazing visionary in general, and he's also extremely human, and he embraces that. You don't get it. You don't might see it all the time if you're on, watching a keynote at Dreamforce. But lately, I think it's come through a lot more. And when he sees world events, he says it's the business of businesses to create a better world. The business is to change the world, right? That's the business. That's our business. We don't have shareholders, we have stakeholders, and the stakeholders are the humans in the world. And so if you have a CEO who embraces that, then you start hiring people like that. I think that's pretty much why I was hired, because I kind of believed in that, at the time, and I believe in it a lot more now.
Yep.
And then the culture becomes much more. It's part of the system. I can't even think of another culture actually now. I've been there a long time, but I can't think of it. But when you said our response to the pandemic, the first thing that we did was we had weekly all hands calls with the employees, and so Mark would be on there, and he's basically saying, get a flu shot. You don't want to have the flu, and you don't want to get coronavirus, or what we were calling it, COVID at the time, and you don't want to get food for 90 days. We don't know what the supply chain is going to look like. We don't he's telling us all these things. This is like in March. And you might remember we were going to have an analyst event that was going to be live at the end of February. And he said, make the call to us. So Ann Chen, I know she's probably listening right now. And I said, we can't do it. We can do it, but we shouldn't do it. It's just not going to go along with our values. And it was tough. We lose money on that. We lose relationships, but we figure there's an opportunity to build new ones. And then the next thing that happened was that New York ran out of PPE. And Mark said to a guy who we called Super Ryan at the time, was like, go find a 747, load it up with PPE and send it to New York. It's like, okay.
Okay.
He said how to do it. I said, do it.
Find one.
Go find it somewhere. Oh, there's one.
Yeah, right. And then we do it. And then India had issues, and we sent things to India. That was kind of like, that's the company, but the people are also doing things. Individuals are doing things as well. And we have the 1-1-1 philosophy. 1% of our time, 1% of our capital, 1% of our equity goes into volunteer events. And so individuals are doing a ton more than we even, announce publicly. I mean, just so much going on. And it makes the company a better place.
Yeah, you also have the astounding ability to let people know in a way that they don't feel it's marketing. You're letting people know, and they're actually being moved enough to buy into it in a way that makes them want to be active too. And that's the other side that I think was pretty extraordinary.
It is, and a lot of people talk about empathy, but you have to live it. And there is an element of marketing and an element of vision about how our future is going to look and our relevance in the world. But you're not going to do it unless you believe it. Like, it's just not going to happen, because the next thing's going to come along, and you're going to, it's like kind of ADHD in corporations. You go to the next thing. So, you have to live it. You have to live those values. And I think, for the most part, we do.
Yes, you do. And thank you. Thank you so much for doing that.
And thanks for joining us right now.
No, thank you. Great. Thank you.
You're tremendously helpful.
Awesome.
I'll be in touch.
I really appreciate it. And Brent and Paul, I appreciate your help over the years. Paul, especially, like, day one at Salesforce, just personally helping me guide me through, corporate life and CRM, all those things. It's so important to me. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, you're an amazing human being, sir. That's all I can say.
He certainly is, and he's a Rams fan.
Yes. Double down. We double down. All right, man. Take care, and I'll be in touch shortly. DM.
Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
All right. Moving. We're moving. Got to keep it moving. Ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Yep. SAP.
Wait a minute.
Now look.
Does that mean
this one? We know who the spokesperson is on this one.
Yeah, this ought to be fun. Let me send him the link.
All right. maybe I'll just forego everything and let this guy come on.
Are you sure? I don't have the disclaimer ready, so I'm
Oh,
not
no.
sure.
It's all right. I made the disclaimer early on in this. So while Brent's sending the link, I will interrupt shortly. But look, SAP, again, it's a behemoth, and there's no question it's a global behemoth. It's got enormous reach. Not, look, a lot of people still don't know SAP CX very well, and that's more the fault of their own, not SAP. The reality is, they have a back and front office. There he is, Sven. We were, God, so worried about you. No, Liz, Esteban's coming, right? There he is. All right, so SAP strength has always been their ability to integrate back and front. If you remember a few years ago, their marketing tagline was intelligent enterprise. And the reality is that was a good one and still is a good one, even though they don't use it anymore. But that it does reflect who they are. They have been very, very good in terms of they've had the history with ERP. They've managed to integrate CX, and kind of the almost the amalgam of the two, in a manner of speaking, meaning it leads to what they do exceptionally well, which is supply chain also, right? So, for example, one of the things that was very impressive about SAP's both pandemic response and also just how they see the supply chain was its impact on first on the pandemic side. They put a ton of time, effort, money, and did a lot of pro bono work in supporting and sustaining supply chain. And as much as supply chains had issues, honestly, SAP's efforts were substantial enough to have an impact on reducing the issues, even as vast as they may be right now. Secondly, the other thing with SAP, which has always been very foresighted and does reflect very well, and there's one other thing which I'm not going to talk about for reasons you'll understand later, that one of the things that reflects very well is their ability to understand the supply chain via CX. So in other words, they look at supply chain, they look at CX, and they see how's all of this overall impact customers, right? And they don't treat it as we have the front office, we have the back office, but they treat it as, again, much as they don't use it for marketing anymore, we have an intelligent enterprise, and we're one of the few companies who can actually provide that overall, which is a big positive on their part. There was another one or two that of things that I would talk about now, but I'm going to hold off.
We've got our guest.
Then bring him on in.
Can we really call this dude a guest?
No, he's not a guest.
He's
we have to
digital
do
The man, the myth, the legend, the Esteban.
The Esteban. Wow.
What'd you say about the myth? What'd you say about the
Hey,
myth?
you won! Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big.
I want to take this time to thank all the little people that made this possible.
That would be everybody, right?
Well, yeah.
Everybody but you.
But no, in all seriousness, Paul, your introduction is actually the reason why we have an impact. We have a global presence in so many places and in so many areas, from back office to front office, from supply chain to demand chain. That's what actually allowed us during the pandemic to create incredible value for some of our customers, even for some governments in Europe altogether. So.
Yeah, you guys really, the impact shows in somebody's got
Slight echo.
Do you have your LinkedIn with
No, I don't.
No, it's real time. That's a real time right there.
You're right. I don't know where it's coming from.
It's coming from him.
Yeah, no, that I know.
You know what? While you keep talking, and I'll connect my headset.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing I think that really stands out with you guys is you've gotten very good, especially recently. Nicole, digital pestilence. Uh, you've um, you've gotten very good recently at getting essentially promulgating the idea. Again, there's a lot of things that any big company can do and sometimes don't. In your case, you're starting to really do more and more of it, I've noticed, which is, and I think part of that's your specific job as evangelist for the company, for CX, and is getting out the concepts and that are, how to put it, well aligned marketing efforts. Okay,
Yeah.
meaning they're not traditional, particularly. Um, they're attempting to reach out to audiences that wouldn't be seen as a classic SAP ERP customer or something like that, but audiences who have impact on purchasing, but also just on the world, in the future. And the other thing, and I'd like you to address this a little bit too,
Yeah.
is your commitment to sustainability is off the charts. I mean,
Yes.
it's deep, it's profound. And I will tell you, on the submission side, it was about 6 pages of the submission was just a commitment to sustainability, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk to both that sort of well-aligned future marketing, marketing to the future, and at the same time, the sustainability commitment. I think those are 2 subjects.
Let's start with the shorter answer, which is sustainability, right? I mean, SAP has been a champion of sustainability for a long time. I know about this for the last decade plus, couple decades that we've been championing, and we continue to do so. We work in tandem with our customers and governments around the world to do this, and that's it. There's not a lot more than I can say because we're really, really not good at touting our own horn on what we do. But we do some incredible things out there that, our customers do some incredible things thanks to the value that we deliver to them, and that's the value that we bring to the table, right? And as far as marketing for the future, I'm here, baby. Come on, that's all we can do is market to the future. One of the things that we've been trying to do for the last couple of years, when Bob first joined, me joining, and some of the key people that we've been bringing in, Chris O'Hara recently, Nitin Vajayita, Matt Kresh, and all these people, is like, we want to change the way that SAP is perceived in the market by creating a better message to what we do, right? A better narrative, a better story. Samir Patel, whom you all know, and is my supreme commander of SAP CX forces in the extreme Western Europe, also known as Palo Alto. Samir Patel keeps saying we're the best kept secret in enterprise software, and to a certain extent, I got 450,000 customers that depend on us to run their companies, not just on CX, across everything they do. If we can send that to CX and we can actually show what we can do, that's the win. I'm not going to apologize for that. We do sell into our established customer base. Yes.
That's perfect, and thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
And by the way, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I know James is not a SAP that has aged me. It's the fact that I've been home for five and a half wonderful weeks. She's staying home so I could actually get a new knee put in. I'm bionic now, and I'm ready to go. In a couple of weeks, I should be clocking 80, 85 miles an hour.
So now you're bionic pestilence?
Bionic pestilence.
Okay,
that's right, my friend.
Fair. All right, that's it.
I got a shoulder and 2 legs bionic, so let's go.
For those who don't know, Esteban is one of the 4 horsemen of CRM apocalypse, and he's actually the one who coined our phrase, bringing CRM to its knees since 2008. Right,
the best tagline of ever.
Although now he was digital pestilence, now he's bionic pestilence.
There you go.
So we're ready.
Is there anything else that can be added to that at this point?
No, I truly want to. I know you're going to be surprised by what I'm going to say, but I truly want to make sure that you understand that this is a team effort at SAP. There's seriously, I know you're going to be surprised, but you know what? There's so many people that do so much work that not just because Bob was here, or because I'm here, or anybody else is here. It's like the team is truly behind the effort.
Yeah. Well,
no. I wouldn't have ever thought I'd hear you say that 10 years ago. And not that you're saying it, but you really mean it too. 10 years ago, I'm glad I wasn't drinking anything because
I've been domesticated, my friend. Domesticated.
well, whatever it is, congrats. Seriously.
Yeah,
Congrats.
bourbon,
really.
bourbon, lots of
And-
bourbon. Thank you very much. Thanks so
right.
much for choosing us. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care. Oh,
All right.
that was great. Bionic
Yep.
pestilence. We have bionic pestilence now. Who would have thought? Anyway, moving on. I wonder if people are you keeping track of how many companies we've done so far? Because the fake prop bet is still out there. All right.
And by the
Next
way,
up.
before you go on, this is going to go on obviously well after 4, but do stick with us because there's some really
If
good
you
things
can.
coming up.
And if you can't, we understand. It's
Actually,
all being
we don't.
recorded.
No, we
And
don't
so-
understand.
Okay. We don't understand.
Right. That's right.
But we do congratulate Sugar CRM.
Yes,
being next up on the list.
congratulations, guys. All right. So this one, okay, wait, who's the rep? Who's the
Rich.
who's-
Rich Green, who I just sent you the link via LinkedIn. So
All
check
right.
your LinkedIn messages and then join us.
Look, here's the thing that's interesting about Sugar. Sugar over the years has never, even at when their least active moments, never has since 2004, when they first came came to life. They've never been off the radar ever. Now, sometimes they didn't have the highest profile, but they've never been off the radar. When someone said Sugar CRM, no one said, "Who's that?" No one.
Right.
Now, the thing is, though, and one of the reasons that they won the watch list this year was that profile has been raised significantly in the last year, right? We can point to the efforts of many people at that company. Really, it's not one or two. They have a company with, there's Craig Charlton, who's the CEO, of course. And
Speaking of
course,
which,
there he is.
congratulations, Craig.
Congrats, Craig. And then there's Clint Oram and there's Claire
Sugar Clint.
Dorian and Rich Green, obviously, who's going to be, I can name multiple people beyond even those guys. But the reality is that this is a company that's not only stayed on the radar, but is now starting to move, let's say be visible on the sonar, right? So they're making noise. The noise is focused. They're also their messaging, not their messaging, their approach, their strategy, and their DNA is really very smart because it's tied to markets that are evolving as much as it's tied to still sustaining the markets that they already have. This is a company that is now playing, right? They're playing in the marketplace. I'm very excited. I am too. I'm very excited for them winning. And again, like I said about I tried to stop them too. I was trying to stop everybody. I really did. It's amazing how many companies defeated me this year, right? So, and Chris, another one. That's what I'm saying. There's so many people at Sugar. They have a solid team, man. They just have a really solid management team that's got both experience and a bit of let's call it a bit of pizzazz, right? They are now at the point where they're willing to take some risks, try to do some new things. They're staying away from the things that drive me crazy, which is, and I'm not saying they did this, I'm just saying these are the things that drive me crazy. They're staying away from things like competition bashing, and they're focused much more on what they offer to the marketplace. As they have changed and transformed their message, the other thing they've done is evolve their platform, and their platform has been excellent since version 7, and they're at version 9 now, I believe. So, you're talking about a platform for years that has been nothing but sterling when it comes to being technologically superb. So, this is something that there's no reason they shouldn't win, really. Again, I tried to find those reasons, but no reason.
Let me just jump in real quick. Rich said he's trying to get in. Once again, I send the link via LinkedIn. click on the image, not the actual link. If you click on the image, it'll bring you directly into the virtual green room. If you click on the little link underneath the image, it just takes you to StreamYard, the website.
I don't get that. I don't know why that
I don't
happens.
know.
All right, Rich, you ready?
Yeah, he's still having that issue. Try, Rich, once again, try clicking on the image and not the link and see if you get in.
Really love to have you on, Rich.
Yeah, because
Rich, by the way, is CTO of Sugar.
right. And Rich, he has a voice that kind of rivals the Golden Smog. He's got a really good voice.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we hear it in a few seconds. Did I see something?
Well, I will say the other thing too is one of the other things they've done. You know, they brought on Claire Dorian as their CMO about, I think it's a year and officially at least a year and a month, so 13 months ago, and she's made a real impact. Look, I mean, CMO is a insanely important position at a company, and every CMO I ever have met has a different perspective on being a CMO. And the thing is that it astounds me when you see something, you see the stamp of that CMO. And so Claire, who I've known since a long time, I've known her since her days at Sword Caboodle, which means at least about 15 years, just done the job the way it's got to be done. And again, well aligned with how the future is looking. So Sugar, and again, you're talking about a company that when it originally founded, they made a big splash because they were open source, right? And they had a community of another
Rich,
alumnus.
whenever you're ready.
All right, bring him on in. Another alumnus of Sword Caboodle. Just bring him in. I'm stopping.
There he is.
There he is.
Hey there, guys. Sorry about that.
No, but you have that golden
right.
fog voice.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And did you ever do radio before you got into all this technology stuff?
I was asked to do voiceover for TV, but decided I wanted to be a geek instead. So I ended up going that way. So look, guys, really appreciate this. And sorry for the delay. I just want to thank you guys a ton. I've got the wrong camera here. Let me see if I can switch cameras.
But you have a good profile. Really
no, not hardly. But that's better. Now I'm frozen. Okay.
No, you weren't.
Now you're all right. You're okay.
All right.
That's right. Vulcan.
So, what is going on here? I don't know where the camera is. But
no,
anyway,
you're okay.
On behalf of Craig Charlton, as you mentioned, our CEO, who's really raised everybody's game here at Sugar, and the rest of my colleagues, we're really honored with this recognition. As you've mentioned, building a successful company and a tech company is really a team game, and we have a great team and a great culture here at Sugar. And everybody says they're laser focused, but we really have a pair of lasers. Our focus is the care and support and the success of our customers. And in a world of dominated by digital engagement, we're increasingly focused on our customers' success as well. And we're also a high energy leading edge tech company that building solutions, and Paul, with all apologies, we're building solutions to let businesses run at the speed of light. So it's not just the title; it's a reality. So I hope you don't mind.
I'm suing.
You're suing. Go ahead.
You literally said you're going to do CRM at the speed of light.
We're going to let businesses run at the speed of light. It's like
Well, that's by having CRM that can do that.
Yeah, be kind. We're good friends.
We won't, so I won't sue.
You talked about Claire. She's a genius and has built a great team. And the branding, let the platform do the work. It really resonates, but it's a lot more than words. We have a single platform that connects all of the capabilities from our marketing automation system, Salesforce automation, customer service, as we discussed about 2.5 years ago, I think we have a deep understanding of time with our time-aware streaming platform that enables our users to have a deep and powerful understanding of their business. A 1.5 years ago, we rolled out a killer AI platform, and the difference is it just works. It's not a toolkit. It's not Tinker Toys. It's not something you could use to construct an AI solution. It just does AI and provides insights and predictions for your business. And we have a killer, user-centric, no-code, low-code platform. So, it's been an exciting ride. So, to Paul, I just want to offer our sincere thanks for this amazing recognition, and for Sugar employees and our partners. This one's for all you guys.
Well, thank you,
All
sir.
right.
Not much more to say than that one.
He's got
That
the
was
voice.
good.
He's got the words. He's got it all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Rich.
And
Thank
congrats.
you guys very much. Great to see you.
Absolutely. All right. We're moving.
Sort of.
Next one up. Well, sort of. Next one up.
Oh
Viva.
yeah. Okay, who's representative of Viva?
I
now?
don't see anybody for Viva. So
There was.
if there is, it's
No?
not on this list, unfortunately.
Huh. Well, we'll have to wait a minute. How's that even possible? Well, look, I'll talk to it then. I'm sorry, Viva. That's either my oversight or we never had got it, but I apparently don't have it on the list. So look, Viva is the only thing to say. They're so market dominant. I don't know. They were one of these companies. How could they? They literally had to lose. Look. The thing with Viva that's astounding is, one, they are built on Salesforce's platform, but are partnered with companies like Microsoft, by the way. Two is they are focused on one industry and one industry only, and that's life sciences. And three, they have an 85% market share in life sciences, which is absolutely astounding. The platform, keep in mind, life sciences is not a narrow domain. There's a lot of things going on in life sciences that range from, biotech to clinical labs, and so, but they own it. And not only they own it, they're a company that has, let's say, grown exceptionally large, owning it. I mean, they're really, again, I'm not speaking to specific numbers because I don't remember whether Viva is public or not. But they're insanely large company, like not insanely, actually, given my 85% market share, not surprising, really. The other thing with Viva is that they have built out, for their management team is just terrific. One of the things that I think people underestimate, and I'll say it quickly, is the experience of the management teams. You need a lot. It's not having young, dynamic 28-year-olds is not an experienced management team. Okay, doesn't mean that that's bad. They provide something too, but you're talking about companies that have 30 years of experience in industry, 20 years of experience, and are still forward thinkers, which is the other side of it. These guys have that in spades running throughout their management team, almost top to bottom. So this is a company that, does things the way it's got to be done to dominate an industry. And because they dominate the industry at the level they do, and they do the other things to sustain that over years, they win, and they well deserved it. So,
all right. Thank you
so much. And
we'll,
apologies if we missed your person.
Yeah, we'll ship your. What do you ship?
There's a badge.
Oh, there's a digital badge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's digital. We'll ship it.
All right, we'll ship it.
We'll turn it into NFT and ship it.
Oh, really? Wow.
No,
that could be kind of
really
expensive.
Yeah,
all right,
not really.
Let's go to the next one.
Boom.
Verint,
of course. So we know Celia Fleischacker is the rep, and she's here because I see her commenting.
Check your LinkedIn message.
Check it with Celia. Yeah, check it. Do what Brent said. Hit the picture, the image. So Verint, about 2 years ago, divested themselves of their cybersecurity business. And this is a company that is focused on both customer engagement and to some extent too, employee engagement. And they built out a technology suite that is terrific. And the thing is that this is a company who has been wise in terms of acquisitions they've made. This is a company that has considerably, let's say, they have remained a large company even after divesting themselves of their other business. They have a market presence that has expanded greatly in the last year, and in part, well, more than part, to a large degree due to Celia Fleischacker coming on as their CMO. They have
actually Superfly Celia Fleischacker, apparently.
Superfly Celia Fleischacker. Thanks, James. And the thing is that the other thing they've done begun to do really well, and they built infrastructure for, is around thought leadership too, and they're doing it in the media that are different, than most other companies. Like a lot of companies still get very traditional about ebooks and white papers and things like that. They're doing it with shows and conversations online and live streams and also pre-recorded stuff when they do that. But they're doing with all of those. The other thing they've had for several years and is shown is an exceptional AR group, and that's run by a friend of ours, Ryan Zook, who both you and I have known for ages. So the entire, let's call it, outreach and marketing function, the thought leadership, they're doing a really good job in both having an impact in the immediate past year, but also building out the infrastructure and necessary for the future. So is Celia here yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Celia, if you're still out there, just check your LinkedIn messages and you'll see a link that will get you to us. Oh, wait a minute. While we're waiting.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick.
Rebecca.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi,
guys. Thanks for the chocolate, Patrick.
Came right from his hair. Hey, you're pretty good.
I know. I didn't even see your lips move.
He's another one of our stars. He's our pet in residence, PIR.
He's just making for today. Yep.
A PIR?
A PIR, pet in residence. That's right. No, he's a dog. We can't call him a purr.
All right. Celia, just click on the image, not the link. And let's see if that gets you in. Hopefully it does. I don't know what's going. Oh, there she is.
All right. Hey, Celia. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Patrick is even clapping too. That was nice. All right, Patrick, we'll see you a little bit later.
All right.
Thank you and congratulations.
Yes. All right. So, Celia.
I'm in a good days. I can't believe he said Superfly. Hey. I'm like, that's lived with me a long time, but never this publicly.
Wow. So he just outed your nickname? Wow.
It feels that way.
No, he did. He obviously did. We actually have a pretty good attendance at this show.
Matter of fact, there it is. Superfly. All right.
So tell us I see a lot of what Verint's done, especially in the last year with you there, has been very much the market facing stuff, the outreach, the thought leadership, the marketing strategies that are well focused, the use of media that is not traditional necessarily, and even the approaches like your book clubs and things like that. Talk to that a little bit, because I think that's something that people can learn from, and it's one of the reasons you guys did win too.
Well, first, thank you. Wow. Really appreciate it. Excited to be here. And huge shout out to the team. You mentioned Ryan Zuck. I love our AR team and just our whole team in general, who all contributed to this the submission. you're right. We've had a big year. It's been fun. We did spin off the cyber division, and becoming pure play gave us great focus, and we did take kind of a different approach. We went down the primary research route and established the whole idea of engagement capacity gap, and we really just rallied the company around this idea of, our mission is to help companies close that. It's we're seeing this shift to digital. We're seeing these huge increases in the interactions that customers or brands have with their consumers, and the resource situation isn't great. Everyone knows that. And it just creates this gap for customer engagement. And our mission is to fill that gap or close that gap using technology and AI. And it's been a fun ride over the last year or so at the company.
So one last question. So you guys actually bring employee engagement into the customer engagement equation. Talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's huge. And I know Esteban does not want me to say that employee experience is customer engagement or drives customer engagement. He doesn't love that. But, the history that we have with workforce engagement and the impact that employee experience can have on the customer experience, and whether it's, how you're relating to that customer, empathizing with that customer, bringing the humanness into that engagement. There's so much that the employee experience can do to make that customer experience better, and how you manage the workforce, coach them, and help them, be the best they can be with your customers is so important.
Thank you. And thank you and congrats. It was really.
Thank you so much.
This was a good one.
We appreciate it. Barry appreciates it.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Wow. Keep it moving. We're picking up the pace a bit.
All right. Well, also we should make a point. This is just to make people nervous. This is the last of the winners. Now, not necessarily. So if you didn't show up in this, you either show up in the winners with distinction, or you didn't, or the elites, or you didn't win. Okay. So this is the last of the winners coming up.
And that would be fake drum roll. Exactly.
Okay,
And
this was.
We know who's the spokesperson for this.
Our guy, man.
So Eric, check your LinkedIn messages. Click on the image, not the link. All
right. So here's the thing. So Exactly is really interesting company. Look, they originally got into the universe with sales comp, and that's what they made their name in sales comp. Then they expanded their offering a great deal. Well, in effect, they went deeper, and sales comp became part of it. But then they began becoming experts in sales performance management. And now, in the more recent era, they've decided to enter a new market, which is even broader, actually, where SPM would be part of it, and that's revenue intelligence, right? Now, here's the thing. The interesting thing about Exactly is they have always had superpowered impact in comp, the sales comp market. They've had that in the sales performance management market. Revenue intelligence, brand new, and it's really hard to show impact in a brand new market. In fact, to be honest, that doesn't work. Even though it's a great strategy as far as the watch list goes, it doesn't work in your behalf. It works against you to some degree because it's a new market and you have to prove impact. To do that is an enormous task and very difficult. And the thing is that I'm not going to tell you how well Exactly did with revenue intelligence, particularly one way or the other, but I am going to say this, that what they did show, and it is still part of their DNA, was their incredible impact in sales performance management, which was genuinely extraordinary. And they had it in so many different ways as kind of the trusted if I had to pick a company that actually played the role of trusted advisor in SPM, they're it. And the thing is that they have a very strong a very strong team that knows how to execute incredibly well. The other thing is they're very much operationally powerful. So that what you could see with them was in the back end was that that they probably built for succeeding in revenue intelligence in the next 3 years and continuing to succeed in whatever markets they choose to because of the operational and organizational capabilities they already have. And that was one thing that really stood out with them. And the other thing was just very simply, with Eric and Mary Jo Rose and people like that, they have just an incredible team on the outreach side. All right, and here's speaking of the devil, here he is.
I don't know if a devil, but I just want to say salute. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now, first question, of course, is what are you drinking?
Kujira, 20-year-old Japanese whiskey, of course, getting ready for my move to Tokyo.
Well, congrats, man. And look, I'm going to ask a very simple question because I didn't really directly address it, but I do want people to hear about what you're thinking. Why did you move from, let's say, the slightly narrower sales performance management to the bigger revenue intelligence side?
It honestly, it was our customers. I mean, it was if you look at like the acquisitions we've been doing and the expansions of products and services, it would stem from a customer would say, hey, I really would like some help with this. We're having an issue there. Our transform team is all based around customers saying, how the heck do we do this? We're trying to get our operations in line and we've got all these different tools. What should we do? People said, hey, you got the incentive comp thing, but our territories are garbage. Cool. Let's get into that. And then it just kept on going all the way up to the forecasting. Each one of those has been, I'd like to say we were also constantly looking out to what's available out there, what's moving in the market. But it's also like you sit back, you look at what's every single side comment, request, or wish list from a client or even a prospect, why you lost a deal. And you're like, oh, we should double down or triple down or, laser focus or whatever bad. Somebody can yell out bingo now. Word choice we want to do there. And we should get into it and make it happen.
All right. So one last question. One of the things you did prove very well in the submission was the platform readiness of your revenue intelligence side. So how do you go, just generally, how do you go from customers want this, we're going to do this, to actually building the technology for it? What's a short version of the process that took you there?
You look at what the end result could be. You try and find what they're not asking for. Just because they said they wanted, say, forecasting, what do you mean by that? And then you look at the data you have. Data, me, Paul, data's been a part of the story of Exactly for years. Is what do we have the data and what can we do with that data to make that part of it even better? And how do we make sure that that data is flowing, from the CRM through each one of the pieces? And then you can get into that machine learning AI part of it, which is part of the platform. So luckily, or very early on, we built ourselves around the data model, and each thing we've added, it's how does this expand and make the data model stronger so that we don't come across as a company with a bunch of different pieces that just happen to be owned by the same firm. It really is a singular platform, which we'll now say for revenue intelligence.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
That was awesome, and congrats.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any new swords back there, or still
nothing new? Not until I get to Tokyo and start looking around.
Right.
Very cool, man.
Thanks
again.
We'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. So you want to set this up?
Yep. Simple. I'm also going to reveal one thing early, just so we don't have to deal with it later. There are no elite winners. I'm just revealing that right now. So this is it, what you're seeing. what you will be seeing. If you didn't win, watch list with distinction, you didn't win. Okay, and then we'll do the shout outs and things like that briefly. All right, so this
everyone
to
now.
get here, this is a nearly elite level. So it's more than a winner. Elite's almost impossible to achieve, but this is companies who one way or the other, there was something that stood out even beyond the ordinary, the winners of the watch list, and we'll get into that as we proceed. So let's take it away.
Yeah, in other words, you're not into elitist kind of behaviors and people.
No, none.
Okay,
none. No one won that. No one even came that close, to be honest. And at what we will reveal right after this, though, is who the highest scoring company was.
With that in mind,
here we go.
The first watch list winner with distinction is Oracle.
Now, I got to tell you, Oracle has made, especially in CX, a dramatic transformation over the last roughly almost 4 years. And what we've seen that makes it distinctive is twofold. One, the actual platform itself, and that, which is based on Oracle Unity, one of the strongest engagement platforms. I know they like to play with it with CDP and all these things. It's well beyond the CDP. It's one of the strongest engagement platforms I've seen to date. But beyond the technology, because look, again, the technology stack for most companies was very strong. Beyond the technology, what Oracle's been doing in the last year and a half, especially in the CX group, is they have been doing a dramatic amount of effective work in utilizing what's the media that needs to be consumed in the 21st century. They're starting to figure out distribution. They're attempting to do it with both content, conversation, and I mean conversation as opposed to campaigns, and with humor, right? They've taken what can be very difficult and complex things and begun to simplify them for people to understand, begun to make sure that analysts are very clear on what they're doing, and at the third hand, putting out the kind of content that a company needs to be putting out, especially as they reach the kind of level of scale Oracle already is. And look, Oracle again is Oracle. They're massive, they're gigantic, they have impact in so many different ways. The other thing that they did very well, which was very clear, was they had a remarkably good, from the standpoint of what they offered, they were incredibly helpful on the pandemic side with vaccination data and other things. They built the kind of sites that would give not customers, but humans some confidence in trying to understand and locate what to handle and what to do. And actually, to Christine Randall's point, when I was talking to the kind of outreach and also the ecosystems that they're talking to, Jeff and Steve are not only are they incredibly funny people and who have a clear understanding on media and consumption and distribution, but each of them plays a critical function at Oracle. Steve in charge of partnerships CX and Jeff product management for CX. And so you talk for service in particular, and you're talking about a company full of people like that. The other thing they've done, and this is the other thing that was very important, was the Redwood project that they implemented a few years ago, which has now come to fruition in many, many ways. And, that's, of course, Hillel Cooperman and Jenny Lamb, who were, bonded at the hip team, who have developed Redwood. And it's permeated not just the UI, UX of Oracle at every kind of level, but the culture of Oracle too.
By the way, our guest is ready.
I'm ready then. Bring him in.
So let's bring on Steve Earle. Congratulations.
Congrats, Steve.
Thank you.
winner with distinction. Tough stuff.
Well, thank you, Paul. Amazing. I represent a big team back behind me here at Oracle. So thank you so much for the recognition and the award. And we really enjoy being part of this every year. So I want to say thank you for doing a great job again. Great.
Well, you guys really. So talk to me from this, standpoint of you and your team. Talk about a little bit about, because I think this is something people don't clearly understand, is the impact of CX a little bit. I'm sorry, of Redwood on CX.
Yeah, one of your prior guests talked about the employee experience, but if you think about at the end of the day, whether you're a marketer or whether you're a service agent or a sales rep, selling products, giving them a set of tools and an experience that they can do their jobs well, right? Get away from the day-to-day mundane tasks. And Redwood, as you talked about, is our design paradigm, but basically it's helping people do their jobs better, right? Helping them engage with or use the tools to help them engage with their customers in ways that's really easy. And I think it's as simple as that, is helping them be more productive and making it easier for them. So at the end of the day, they can do what they're paid to do, and that's look after their customers. And that's been a huge investment for us across our whole, CX portfolio.
You've done a wonderful job, and thank you so much, man. I mean,
absolutely.
And congrats on being the first winner with distinction too.
With distinction,
it's another level.
We are very honored. So and for you, I think you do an incredible amount of work in this report every year. I know, because me and the team do a huge amount of work back here, and you have to look at all our reports times 59, right?
And
so
let me just tell you, thank you, because I know how much work it is, and I appreciate that you will, you kind of take the watch list seriously enough to do it. You have plenty of other ways to occupy your time. I know that. So thank you for that.
Oh, very honored. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, my friend.
All right. Let's keep it moving. The next winner with distinction is ServiceNow.
Yep. Now, I got to tell you, look.
By the way, before you do that.
Yes.
Terrence Cesare, check your LinkedIn messages. Click on the image, and then we'll see you in a minute.
All right. So, the best way to do it, I've called ServiceNow, not really jokingly, but sort of funnily, the world's largest unicorn, right? So they're an amazing company who has skyrocketed to impact and influence, and they have nothing but plans in place that are going to work, right? Or that could work really well. So, for example, look, obviously they came out of the world of service operations, right? And in fact, they would always say they're not customer service management. They're not customer service management. They're customer service management, right? Meaning they're focused on the idea of ops and service. But where they actually began to have the impact they have now is when they recognized the impact of those service ops on the customer experience itself, right? And from that day on, they just have been killing it. And then, honestly, when they brought Bill McDermott in as CEO and Nick Sitson became the CSO, the Chief Strategy Officer of the company, people like that, and they began focusing around partnerships and industries in a much more strategic sense than they ever had historically done, it all worked. And so, for example, as I said, they had there's a ServiceNow Adobe partnership, which doesn't seem to be the obvious one. And there are ServiceNow AT&T partnerships and ServiceNow Microsoft partnerships, but they're all strategic, and they all have purpose and independent reasons for being what they are, but they're really well thought out. And their industries focus now, the more recent industries focus is more expansive than it historically has been. They have focused on becoming a platform of platforms, which I've noticed they talk about a lot less lately, but at the same time, the elements technologically are there. Their ability to execute with the technology, which is just a highly effective technology, has been outstanding. And look, they have also one of the strongest AR teams in the marketplace and a strong PR team also, although the AR team just stands out with, Jeff McDonald, Christine Randall, people like that. And so, it's just truly one of the most fascinating things they've ever done. And the other thing that they did, which really helped them have the impact that they have now, was recognized about, I want to say it's probably 3 years now, 3 years ago, that their investment in what they call customer workflows is where they need to focus the company, as opposed to the historic cash cow, which has been the ITSM space. So, and they have just succeeded wildly. People know them everywhere. The other thing that was fascinating was the culture. So, for example, I hear, look, historically, when somebody comes to me and says who they want to work for, it's mostly Salesforce, right? And that's the first name I will always hear. ServiceNow is creeping up fast on being not quite equal, but close to equal with Salesforce. And that's because of the excellent culture. Is Terrence here? Terrence here? Bring him in.
Speak of the devil.
There's the man. Congrats, man.
Thank you. Really
Distinction.
appreciate it.
You won the big fish.
So, exactly.
Wait a minute.
So,
hey, was ServiceNow another one of the companies you tried not to let get on the list?
Oh, I am so look. Honestly, I tried to not have 59 companies on the list. I literally was going for 0 winners. So to get, I'm not kidding. I actually was trying to find everything wrong with everybody, right? And I found a lot wrong with everybody. But it is not, when you made distinction, that was almost impossible. But it happened. So
on behalf of ServiceNow overall, but most importantly, the greatly expanded customer and industry workflows team, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Brent. To your point, what drew me to ServiceNow was the values from the outset. There's a couple of them that stand out. First one comes to mind is hungry and humble. So we saw a market and we saw a need that we thought was not well served. And you're right, that was the genesis. What you heard it called was service management. So it was customer service management. And of course, you've been extremely good at in a private conversation, giving that really tough feedback to our team and the broader company. So we've kept refining the marketing. And so we latched on to workflows and a much more expansive view. Then Bill came on and his vision was supercharged everything when we just started to describe ourselves as the platform of platforms, and explicitly that others didn't need to lose for us to win. And what we're still doing is executing on a vision that we started 6 years ago. And I'm one of the OGs who started this effort. And what brought us to this has been the second value I wanted to point out, which is wow, our customers focus. And I joke when I get into executive briefing centers that as a product manager is fairly easy because I simply take a note of what customers have done with our remarkable platform, and we just turn around and build it and deliver it and make it easier for them to do it. So we knew that everyone had focused on engagement, but not everyone had thought through everything that happens after that cool messaging, phone call, tweet that happened. And that was that messy middle called operations. And so we workflowed that, and things were inherently vertical. So we've known for years that we needed to do vertical products. And last year was a really cool meeting of two trends. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we all know that we've been stuck in our rooms doing this. You guys, kudos for holding as many of your happy hours and your events on LinkedIn and completely transitioning to digital. We had to do the same ourselves. And one of the coolest projects we embarked on was vaccine administration management. And Bill, with his classical Billisms, called it the greatest workflow challenge. There were vaccines. There were people who needed a shot in the arm. There were people who knew how to get shots into the arm. And how do you turn a vaccine into a vaccination? And there's many other cool stories like that. But we helped numerous states in the U.S., states in Germany, New South Wales in Australia, North Rhine-Westphalia, the entire country of Scotland. Pretty humbling to be able to actually make a difference through workflows. So
Well,
thank you,
congrats,
thank you,
man.
thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Congrats
Really. You're
again.
amazing.
Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
I know, I know. Takes us back to the last time I was somewhere in a Vegas ballroom that I never thought I'd miss. I never
That's
thought
right.
I'd say
Amen
some
there.
Vegas lobby, but sure enough, we will get back to that.
All right, my friend.
Take care,
Congrats
man.
again, and we will see you soon.
Let's move it. Let's keep it moving.
All right. Yep.
Next winner with distinction is.
Well, this
They also
is,
went for like the coolest logo too, with that.
yeah.
Viking
Yeah.
guy.
Well, yes.
Although-
It's a long story with that one, but
Yeah.
So look, as a lot of you know, Thunderhead was acquired by Medallia, but they weren't acquired by Medallia when the watch list was submitted, and they still retain independence from Medallia at the moment, meaning they're not integrated fully into it. So look, Thunderhead is very simply did several things right. If you're going all the way back, when I first saw the Thunderhead Journey orchestration product, and that was 8 years ago, I literally couldn't believe what I saw. And I actually asked somebody who I know and love a great deal, Marche Brucey, who was their CMO at the time, is this real? I didn't actually believe it was real. I thought it was like a demo they had mocked up for me. I said, is this in production? And she said, yeah. I said, I hate to say this, but I need to see it in production to believe it. And I've known Marche since like 2002, right? So the product, look, I have my favorite products. I used to love Epiphany until I didn't. But right now, their product, their platform is my favorite of all time. Okay.
Can I ask you a real quick question?
Yes.
By the way, Jason Hemingway, check your LinkedIn messages. I just sent you a LinkedIn invite with the link. Click on the image, not the link.
Wow. Poor guy. He's in the UK.
Yeah, that's pretty late. So when you moved off of Epiphany, did you have an epiphany to
Yes.
move off of Epiphany? Okay,
Yes, I
just
did.
want to make sure I got that.
That's exactly it. Now I'm going to call it, I had a thunderhead to move off Epiphany. I'm changing the word. I'm literally changing the definition of the word. So the other thing, though, which they have been brilliant about, is thought leadership. There's nothing like what they have done in thought leadership anywhere. From the day I met them, they were building out a full-fledged engagement framework that was based on jobs to be done, service dominant logic, service design. And at the same time, it was a full framework that was independent of Thunderhead itself, the product, but the Engage platform, but actually was a full framework. And they're building out and have built out a customer operating system, and also what that means from the standpoint of methodology operating, the actual execution of one, et cetera, et cetera. The resident expert there is Phil Venville, who is a brilliant thinker, just a truly brilliant thinker. But they have been Thunderhead has been an active builder of thought leadership at the level it needs to be built to become trusted advisor for many, many companies in many ways. And look, their efforts and Jason, as the CMO, has done a remarkable job of doing it in a very of getting the word out about not just the product, but about the thought leadership itself. And the company and the messaging has always been very aligned with the world, and their creative level is off the charts and spectacularly exciting. It's kind of NVIDIA-ish when it comes to the visuals that they use. They use a lot of that kind of exciting visual capabilities NVIDIA does. And finally, when it boils down to it, very simply, they have won so many damn awards. They win the MQs for journey orchestration, journey analytics, and they actually won an MQ for real-time interaction management, which is, of course, what Epiphany did. Real-time interaction management, and they've won the Forrester Waves for this. They pretty much win almost everything. Now they're a Medallia company, and we'll see what happens there. But at the same time, this is a company that just has proven that its presence is huge and has real impact even beyond its size, which is pretty substantial, in the marketplace. It's just an astounding presence. And he is the man.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Distinction.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Fantastic for us. I thought it was funny if Esteban thought SAP was the best kept secret. I mean, I don't know what we are, but yeah, no, thanks, Paul, for those really kind words. And it is late here, and I stayed up with my fingers crossed. I stayed up right to the sort of end. But yeah, all of those things are right. It's been, pardon the massive pun I'm about to make, but it has been a journey for us, which you have been on with us, Paul and Brent as well. When you're pioneering something new and you start from scratch, it's pretty hard. And we focused very, very heavily, as you said, on that thought leadership. We actually built this engagement model with Esteban's help, funnily enough, around what we call Engagement 3.0, which was all about how engagement started. And this was back in 2014, I think, was when we started building that. And the platform really has its roots in that, around value, trust, knowledge over time, the journey lens to everything. And I think we kind of started that real focus on journeys. And when we started, it was all about engagement, and it still is all about customer engagement. But the phrases, the acronyms like journey orchestration and RTIM kind of have come in around us. And I mean, one of the great things is that we are the only technology that actually fuse RTIM and journey orchestration together. So it's really pleasing to sort of get this. This is wonderful. And again, right, as you said, there are many, many other people that are far more intelligent than me that we should be thanking. And Phil Venville, absolutely on strategy. Ray Gerber, who may be around tonight. I think he came in and then left earlier, then has come back. I don't know what he's been doing, but he said, are you still on? I said, yeah. So Ray Gerber, who's our Chief Product Officer, absolutely brilliant. And then obviously the analyst relations team, Lucy Cooper, obviously I have to thank her massively. And for us, you know, the submissions, they're great. And you know, kudos to you both, as everyone else has sort of said. And I should say as well, for pouring through the submissions. They are lengthy. And especially for a smaller business like us, I think you said it earlier, you choose what you want to do. And this is one thing that we really, really want to do, because we think this, you know, the platform that we've built requires that kind of, the people who know, and we want to do this kind of thing. And thankfully we get this award is so important to us. And as you said, those things that validate the technology that we've built, like the Forrester, the Waves, they're excellent for just, you know, as you're pioneering and innovating. They're those kind of validation points that not only customers validate you against, but it's great for the employees to see that recognition for things that they're building and the hard graft that you put into it. And we're only, you know, 120 people. And obviously, as you said, the big news for us is now we're part of a bigger family in Medallia. And I can honestly say, from my perspective, they're really embracing it. You know, us as the kind of forefront of where they want to take things. If you think about it, they come from that almost employee experience side of things, albeit that they're capturing all those different signals across the customer sort of side of things. But then they look at us as, how do you take action on those signals and all of those things? And that's exactly what we built, is that kind of framework to sit above all of the different systems and actually think about what's the appropriate, I'm going to say, conversation to have with a customer. And that could be across any channel. As you said at the very beginning, I recognized one of our descriptions of channel list. That was the third one, was actually our description. So I'm pleased that made it onto your radar, because that's exactly what we think about. Customers don't think in channels. It seems like a platitude now. We were saying that 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
I remember conversations, not campaigns.
Exactly. The conversation campaign's an invitation to a conversation. That's the way.
There you go. Good way to put it.
Rhyme too.
And thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
It was awesome. Now you can get some sleep.
Yeah, cheers. I'll stay on till the end. Don't worry.
All right. A little bit more. It's only a little bit more.
Okay,
Wow.
cheers.
All right, my friend.
So actually, what's that word you like to use a lot? Penultimate.
Penultimate. No,
that was the penultimate, wasn't it?
That's right. That was the penultimate one. So there's one more.
One more. And there is a little bit more distinction with this one with distinction.
Yes.
Did you like how I said that?
Yes, it was beautiful.
Perfectly put.
Magnificent.
Because the last, and this is alphabetically, the last company on the list was also the company that got the highest score, which is, fake drum roll, Zoho, highest overall score, winner with distinction, Zoho.
Congrats, Zoho. Well, look.
And what before?
Yes.
Gopal.
Gopal. Yeah.
Just Gopal. It's almost like Go Paul.
He's a good guy.
Check your LinkedIn messages. I just shot you the link. Click on the image. It may take a little lapse in time, but it should work. Okay, he got it. Let's see.
All right. All right. So I'll say this briefly. Zoho is a unique company. Zoho's culture is extraordinary. It's a service culture. It's not a culture of, it's not a business culture. It's a service culture that happens to do business. They are a company that has built one of the best and affordable suites of products probably in the world when it comes to business technology. They call it a business operating system because it's very much integrated with everything else. I don't hold me to this exact number, but there's at least 46 applications that you can turn on and off at will that you get for the low price of $39.95 a month per user. And that's Zoho One. And that's amazing for small and mid-sized businesses, particularly that have budget constraints. And every product is pretty much a solid product. But it's more than that. It's so much more than that. The company has devoted to doing good. And Sridhar Vembu, who is their CEO and founder, actually has made the point that if he sees something that is socially poor going on with a deal, he'll walk away from the money. You know, it has to have some element of good in the deal that they sign. And the other thing is that they put their money where their mouth is. These guys, when not just during the pandemic, but overall, are doing things that no other company does. For example, they have a strategy that they're using in business now called transnational localism. And the basic idea is go out to the, let's call it the spoke cities on hub and spoke idea, but say that their headquarters in the U.S. is Austin, Texas. There's 1 million towns in Texas that are outside of Austin. They go into a town in Texas and let's say, and they not only open an office, but then they help them build the infrastructure, help with jobs, and actually build out their own presence in that town. But they actually build out the infrastructure. There's much an infrastructure company, or becoming an infrastructure company, as they are a software company. And the other thing with them, look, their AR team is off the charts, and that's, Sandy Lowe. Speaking of which, one of the best in the biz anywhere. I would say from the standpoint of a small team, the best. From the standpoint of a large team, they don't have one. It's a small team, right? So, but they do pretty much, they are beloved by analysts. They are beloved by customers. They are beloved by people who just benefit from their goodness. Like, for example, I know Sridhar himself in India, which is where he's located now, is feeding 40,000 people a day, pretty much out of his own pocket, right? So their level of philanthropy, their level of just general focus on doing the right thing by people in the world, their leadership with Sridhar, and then in the United States, Raju Visegna, it's just extraordinary, right? And the thing is that they've pretty much got it all. And this, in the past, they've won, but they've never had distinction. Now, not only did they win with distinction, but because of the evolution of the company, have the highest overall score. And so Congrats to them.
And let's put this up. It is Now it's a little after 3:20 over there.
In India.
3:20 in the morning.
Yes.
So
Is
we're not
Gopal
going
here?
to.
No.
Yes, he is. We're not going to keep him up any longer than necessary. Thank you.
Well, good
and
morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for being up.
Yeah, for real.
So we learned CRM from Paul Greenberg's first book, The CRM at the Speed of Light, when we started back in 2005, our development. I'm privileged to attend this session and honored to receive on behalf of Zoho and my team, Sandra Lowe and Dilip and everyone, right, including Raju, then Brandon, Sridhar Vembu, Mani, and everyone. So I thank everyone for this opportunity to represent Zoho. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And thank you, by the way, just for being you and who you are. And you're just such a different company. And there's nobody like your Zoho in the world. And I don't think any other company can be like that either. And Sandy's right. I'm amazed you're awake at 3:25 a.m.
Yeah, I would be
Thank you so
comatose.
much.
That's just
Thank
me.
you so much for that, my friend.
So
Appreciate you so much.
Yeah, all credit goes to Sridhar and his vision. And we hope that our transnational localism is going to go to the even more roots, and we are going to accomplish more, not for our company, for the more underprivileged people. That is going to be our vision for the next 10 to 20 years.
And that's you just live, and you guys truly live it, and that's even more appreciated, especially in times like now. So thank you. And get some sleep, please.
Absolutely.
Please, and
Take
thank
care,
you,
everyone.
really. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
We reached the end of the list. So that was 12 on the watch list and 4 on the watch list with distinction. And you already said there were no elite companies. So 12 plus 4 is what again?
16.
16? Who had 16 first? I can't tell you because there's been like 400 comments since then. That's like a long time ago.
Oh my
We
God.
allotted 2 hours for that show, and it damn near took 3 hours.
And we're
full
not done
hours.
quite yet either. We probably have another 15, I'd say.
Yeah, we're going to speed through this, but
Yeah,
before we
this should
do,
be-
let's get a little expert analysis from Patrick.
He's here. He's ready to go. What you
All
think, Patrick? I think it was pretty good. Okay.
All right, Rebecca.
You know, Patrick and I were talking about this earlier, and he was like, you know, it's about the low code, it's about the platform, but really what really stood out for him was that ecosystem is not just about ecosystem, it's about community, right? And it's not just a gold, silver, bronze program, but that they're making the ecosystem not just partners, but customers, and reaching out to everybody out there, you know, making a connection in their community. So it's nice to see, you know, folks that are doing good and doing business and giving back. And certainly we've got a lot of great names on the list today.
Especially in
Was there
tough
any
times.
surprise to you?
Yeah.
Anyone surprise you?
Anaplan didn't surprise me, but it surprised me that it surprised you, I guess.
I literally don't talk to them that much. So it's probably one of the reasons. I didn't know them. I knew who they were. I knew about them, but didn't know them well.
Yeah, I started looking at them a couple of years ago before they IPO'd, and we were talking with them about what's the real addressable market for this stuff. And if you think about it, wow, if I were actually making marketing budgeting plans based on what sales is actually doing in real time, and then tying that to people I need to hire in operations, boy, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it
you know,
does.
but you don't necessarily think about it in the CRM context. So it was nice.
Yeah,
to see.
exactly it. And, but that was
By the way-
that was a big surprise.
I just want to go back to this. You look at the numbers here for Zoho. Most people have no clue that Zoho has 10,000 employees. It's a lot of folks.
And look at the number of users.
Well,
75 million.
Kind of ridiculous. 75 million users. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For a company that a lot of people really don't know just how much they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's do
everything.
this. Let's do a quick run through of the category winners because this has taken a long time. So why don't we just roll through these? Paul, if you have a few thoughts, we'll do them.
Yeah.
But let's
Make
kind
it
of keep it
simple.
moving. All right.
Yeah, what I'll do is
Let's
I'll give
do
a
this.
1 sentence description of what it is. And that's it. And then,
There it is.
All
All
right.
right. So
let's move to that.
let's move to 16.
We
Now,
that we
Esteban
already-
said he got it. I don't know if he had it first.
Well, we'll check.
Yeah, we got Margot on the scene doing some fact checking, so that's a good
All right.
thing. I trust Margot. Bionic pestilence, not so much. Anyway, let's do this. Best in category. First one is forget the fake prop. Impact statement, and it was a tie and a plan in Viva.
That was simply what you think your impact was and how well you prove it in the rest of the actual submission. And it's always interesting because it's what you think your impact is, not what it is necessarily. So these two were the most aligned with the proof of the impact that they had. And that's a very important part of the actual submission.
All right. ServiceNow, mission and vision.
Look, everybody pretty much got the idea of mission right. Almost nobody got the idea of vision right. Most people thought the vision of what my company needs to be in the future, like the biggest this or the largest that. It's not what a vision statement's about at all. ServiceNow nailed this. They have a long history, through their founder, and what they showed very easily was the relationship of their mission, their vision to the history of the company and its evolution, and also some proof as to the accomplishments that are leading to the fulfillment of the mission and vision. And that's the power of that. And that was, believe me, that was a score that most companies suffered on. They did very well.
All right. Technology Thunderhead.
I kind of made that case early. That is a look at the technology relative to your industry and your area of the industry. Doesn't have to be big and global. It can be that, but it doesn't have to be. I already told you, Thunder is what I think is the best technology I've ever seen. So that's pretty much, how would I put this? Almost every company did well with technology. Almost everyone. They just stand out so far ahead of anyone in their competitive market, and generally just as an extraordinary piece of technology. And that is thanks to, as Jason pointed out, and I will re-point out, Ray Gerber, who is their chief product officer, who is a brilliant builder.
And a nice guy that will take you
Truly
to Five
nice
Guys
guy.
when you're in London hanging out.
That's right.
All right.
Eats the bird.
Customers.
This was also, there's a lot to prove here, right? Not just, hi, we have marquee customers, but relationships matter a lot. And that was not easy because, there were some other companies like Pros and others who have very strong relationship to customers. But when it boiled down to it, Salesforce just stood, I'd say not necessarily head and shoulders, but at least shoulders above other companies when it comes to how they relate to their customers. Also, I looked at customer success programs here, and, when you're looking at this all and overall, Salesforce's relationship to its customers is probably the most human and most extraordinary, really. And that customers, by the way, also meant analysts and other people like that who they had a business relationship to as well. And what do you call it? An ancillary business relationship to. So they just were not too hard.
By the way, or Rebecca, feel free to.
We got to bounce, guys. Congrats, everyone. See you
All
soon.
right. Thank you both for joining us. Bye. Were they kicking them out? Can't do that to them. Not nice.
Kicking who out?
Patrick and Rebecca.
Rebecca, no.
They just left.
And yeah.
All right. Privacy, Thunderhead.
Okay, most companies pretty much messed up. Thunderhead was Thunderhead's response was by far the most comprehensive, and the one I was kind of looking for from other companies. Most companies just told me how it was privacy, constraints and other things were built into their technology stack. I was looking for what's your company doing to protect the privacy of customers? How compliant are you in multiple ways? And do you have someone who's actually in charge of compliance, right? A lot of companies said they were GDPR compliant, and maybe Thunderhead was the only one who actually mentioned a data protection officer. It's not the only reason they won it, but they were comprehensive. They were thorough. They showed compliance and all the things that need to be compliant with. They showed that there were people in charge. They showed also how it was built into the stack, but basically how they protected customer data too. They did a great job.
All right. Partners and alliances.
This one might surprise people, but it shouldn't. SAP has always been strong in terms of its relationships with partners. It goes back to the days of customers and partner relationships when guys like Jim Goldfinger were around and doing his programs. But what SAP has always done is drive a lot of business to partners, get business from partners, communicate regularly with partners, have strategic partners, have technology partners, have VARs, have ISVs, have a very well organized partner system where that you achieve different levels of partnership. And it's not play for pay, pay for play. No, wait, play for pay. Pay for play.
Pay for play.
That. Pay for play. Yeah, it's not that. They're effectively, they're doing it on merit. And it's really a good program. They've proven their point over and over again, and it's years long. It's years long.
Right. Next up is marketing strategy.
Pega just knocked it out of the park with this. A lot of companies were very operationally strong, but showed very little innovation or creativity in their marketing strategy. But Pega kicked butt. Again, just the simple act of producing a physical magazine actually is something important. But the interesting thing is guys like Tom Libretto is the CMO, and Don Sherman, who gets involved in the marketing quite a bit, which is smart because Don's a truly innovative guy and former comedian, actually, improv comic.
But he's still
Pega
fun.
Pega brings human to marketing, and they do a really good job of doing that and having fun in the bargain. So, it was close with one or two other companies, but this one, in the end, Pega won out.
All right. Outreach.
Yeah, this was a tie, and it was basically large program and small program, when it boils down to it. I already discussed Zoho with Sandy and, Brandon, who just recently left, but he was great while he was there. And Salesforce, look, you saw John Tashik. John Tashik has always done one thing, and he's made it quite clear, which is this is analyst relations, PR. You're human beings. You're going to get involved with people as potentially they'll become your friends. That's fine. You don't need to keep professional distance. Just remember what your job is. But if you become friends, be friends. No one's stopping you. And that's led to remarkable deep relationships and also remarkable respect for the AR and PR programs. But, from our standpoint, more the AR for Salesforce and Zoho as easily the two best. Not that the other ones aren't really good. There are some really good ones, but these two were just stood out.
All right. Market impact.
All right. Now, this is not the market impact statement, but this is the actual market impact. And the two companies that not only showed market impact, but showed that they are well positioned to continue to have it over a long period, even beyond 3 years, and who were also very well aligned with things as they're becoming, was Adobe and Salesforce. This was a dead tie, right? This was literally a dead tie. Very different market approaches, but both. I'm not judging the strategy per se. Or the market impact and is it the right kind. I'm judging the level of and how they apply what they do to create the market impact that they have. And both of these companies, in very different ways, which I will not get into, stood out by a fair amount, by the way. And again, very different ways between them, stood out though from the pack, without a doubt.
Culture.
Look, this is just, obviously this was close. Now, this was a dead tie between these two. I already talked to both cultures, so I'm not going to reiterate. And I will tell you the company that was clearly right up there in addition was Salesforce, fell a tiny bit off their number, but that was it. Those three, though, I'm only bringing Salesforce in because it was really close, but these two are the tied at the top. But there was a gap, fairly significant gap in most cases. One or two were relatively good between those three companies.
Pandemic
This
response.
was just, there was a close company here, which was, kind of obvious given what we talked about. But there's no question. Look, one of the things I looked for in pandemic response was the social global good you did, not the way you supported your customers, not the way you supported your employees, not the technology that you gave them or anything. I was looking for things like, as John Tashik talked about, the 747s that flew PPEs to New York. I was looking for the things on, say, the Zoho side, like the people that were being fed, by Sridhar, but that was more his individual effort. But the reality is Salesforce from day one, they were out there and doing social, general, global good. And this to me was, their score was a no-brainer when it came to it.
Okay. I think that's it. Now we got shout outs.
The 3 shout outs, and then we're done. All right. I'll just make these fast. I already talked to the best presentation. That means you got basically you got style points. These are the two, and for innovation, look and feel, UI, your UX for the submission, but it also indicated your thinking. And the two companies with, let's say, the most right-brained approaches to the submissions, a dead tie again in terms of these quote style points, were Thunderhead and Creation. Both submissions were really attractive. Both submissions took care and thought. Both submissions understood the use of visuals in terms of impact. Other companies use photos. Other companies use a lot of graphs so they didn't have to write it, in the submission. So they just gave me a graph with it in the submission. And I didn't treat that as style points. I treat that as, I don't want to write it, right? So these two, they built really attractive things, but they also built it with an eye toward how things have to be done. Best social media strategy was SAP, hands down. They had
shout out to Margot Helgeman for that.
Oh, absolutely. They had about 8 pages, I think 7 or 8 pages devoted just to their social media. It was extensive. It was operationally sound. It was intelligent when it came to how to use each of the media that are involved in there. How to use Twitter, how to use Facebook, how to use LinkedIn, how to use, TikTok, how to use them all, really. It was just incredibly comprehensive, incredibly bright, and incredibly, not just bright meaning intelligent, but bright meaning astute, meaning looking ahead, and really boded well for SAP. And really that Margot Heiligman was the person who kind of leads that effort for SAP. Is kudos to you, Margot. That's what I can say. Now, okay, this is the one that's in its own way is really important. Both Contentful and Optimizely, which were dead tie, would have won under the old system, both of them. There were 4 all in all that would have won. But Contentful and Optimizely show what this means is that they are very likely, although not guaranteed, to win in the 20th and final one if they submit, because they're that close. And again, really, really close in terms of actually winning. And if this were the 18th awards, they would have won, both of them. Again, 4 companies like that. So the thing is that, look, both of these are extraordinary companies. We know the principals of both of them. They're amazing. They both have really, really super qualified, capable products. They have amazing teams leading them. They're not the largest companies, and certain scale things fell off a little here and there. But the reality is, there's no reason for them to not win next time. There really isn't. I mean, if what I will offer to all 4 of those companies is, what is it you need to do that would take you up? Because it's actually, keep in mind, it's strategic, right? So it will also hopefully be effectively free advisory, right? So
Can we take a little credit for Contentful by letting them take El Nicole from us?
Yeah, I think we should take all the credit, actually. A player in residence went there and rocked the house along with Dina Apostolo, right? Who's just another superstar.
Let's think about this. Exactly was on that list, right? You know, on the winners list.
Yep, Jamie Anderson.
Of course, Salesforce was on the list.
Yeah, Brian Solis.
Brian Solis. And Contentful is most promising.
Yeah. Oh, they were on the list last time around, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, meaning they would have won if it was prior. So, yeah.
So basically,
I think
if you want to make the list, you got to hire a player in residence at some point in time.
Well, right now we've got Rebecca Anand and Bob Stutz, who I don't think it wants you.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be getting Bob anytime
soon. Yeah, Liz, of course we're going to take the credit for Jamie. Jamie, what are you kidding? Why wouldn't we? There's a play in residence.
Absolutely.
For God's sake. So anyway, that's these 2. Nothing but promise and success moving forward. There's no question.
Is my buddy, as I like to call him, Edward R. What's his last name again? Murrow. Is he still at Optimizely?
Actually, I don't know. I haven't heard his name, but I haven't really talked to them recently, so I don't know. I could ask Alex, though.
Yeah, we can't take credit for Bob being the president of SAP CX.
Not only that, he became the player in residence after he left.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of did the reverse.
No, Jamie's ours, Liz. Sorry. I've known Jamie since the early days when he was CM. I'm taking credit for the players. On behalf of the players, me and Brent, we take complete credit for Jamie Anderson.
Right. We help him perfect his what's the best one that he did?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine was awesome. Didn't he do a Sean Connery too?
Yep, Sean Connery. Actually, was awesome on that too.
Wow. So we had planned this to be a 2-hour event. We little off. It's about 3 hours and 18 minutes.
Next year, we'll plan for a 3-hour event.
Yeah, but it was the first go around.
Yeah.
And I have to say, a lot of people stuck with us throughout the whole 3 hours and 18 minutes. So we just want to thank you. And before we say goodbye, any last thoughts on the list or anything about the last list that will be next year?
Well, I'll say 2 things quickly. One is next year, because it's the 20th and the ultimate, meaning the end, Brent and I will have some very different. There'll be a lot of additional things that will be special for the final season, so to speak, of the watch list. That's the first
final season,
so to speak.
Am I like the
Right?
showrunner then?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You're the showrunner. Right. And second and last but not least, all the watch list winners will be getting emails from me with the prizes. And there are a number of them that actually would have a market value if I chose to put one on it. But be prepared to get that within a couple of days. And we will, I'll let you know very soon. And to everyone who won, congratulations. To those of you who did not win, please try again next year. Again, it's going to be tough, but it's special. And hopefully the exercise of looking at your company as a whole is helpful to you as a whole. Right. So,
By the way, I haven't heard from Ryan, so good to hear from you, Ryan, and congratulations.
yes,
Absolutely.
it's lovely to see you, Ryan, always. And that's it for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
Guys, you gotta be on the last list of all time.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be big. Another
it is.
20-year anniversary. This 2021 was the 20-year anniversary of the book. So next year, the anniversary of the list.
I will tell you something funny. I had a guy today on LinkedIn who was celebrating his 10th anniversary of having read CRM at the Speed of Light.
What? Really?
Yeah. And he's on a vacation and he bought the Commonwealth of Self-Interest to read, which he said
On
that's how he
vacation?
celebrated. Yeah.
Wow. That says a
It was
lot.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
I don't
be
know
reading
what, but it says a lot.
It says to me, I wouldn't be reading it if I'm you. He said, and then he said, "Thank you for not making it 700 pages."
Okay. Or else he'd have to take a longer vacation. So
That's right. Well, in that case, he probably shouldn't be thanking me.
yeah, really. Now, it's been fun. Let us know what you think about the way that the list was revealed. This is the first time we did it like this. We're open for, any criticisms, anything that you think would help us make it a better show next year.
Yeah, this is a big one. Now I have to go write a ZDNet article.
Wow.
A post. Yeah. Well, it's all right. It's not going to be the usual one. It's way too long. So,
all right.
Anyway, I think that's it. Really, we are wrapping
so
it up.
Well, let me do this. I want to make sure we got to end this show the right way. So I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we can't say goodbye until Minnie, which I'm sure she was watching the whole time. I'm sure.
Yes, we know that. She was LinkedIn user.
Yeah, she was one of all the comments.
That's right. LinkedIn user.
All right, folks. We'll see